The date of the last. I'm coming to you. I know those of you that were around, so I'm bringing the microphone. What was the date of the last boot camp? Okay. Again. Dun, 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 in Revs. What's the name of that Revs? Dun 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 dun. Mary. Oh yeah. What's the date of the last boot camp?
I guess third Sunday in April.
Nah, it was second Sunday in April. Yeah, you tried. Okay, so who made the statement in the last boot camp? I didn't know that was what I was going to say. You did not rise to the level of your goals, but you fall to the level of your systems. Wow. Who said that? Who made the statement? Yes, Barrister Emmanuel Abraye. So who spoke about office politics in the last boot camp? Who spoke about office politics in the last boot camp? Who spoke about office politics? Yes, Dr. Tunji Babajide. Now this one. Who anchored the second game activity for the day? The person that anchored it must not talk. Who anchored the second game activity for the day? Who did? No. 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 Oh. It was Miss Ibukun Atere. Yes, it was Miss Ibukun Atere. So, who is the name of the person that sat beside you at the last event? Your computer, Joy. Joy. Okay. All right. So, it shows that when we come for meetings like this, we should be intentional about what we learn and give attention to details of whatever it is that we are doing. So, before we go ahead, can we, be on our feet, meet with someone, greet someone, be friendly with someone and let them know how you feel about them today. If they are looking good, tell them you are looking good. Tell them you are looking good. Good to have you. All right. So whilst you are doing that, what is the expectation for you today? What expectations do you have for this event? Anyone wants to share? What expectations do you have for this event? What expectations do you have? Happiness. What expectations do you have for this event today? Okay. Is there anything specific? You want to change your orientation about life? That's what Rhoda says. She wants to change your orientation about life. Who else? What expectations do you have for this event? What expectations do you have for this event? What expectations do you have for this event? Coach Diolu. Coach Diolu is here. Oh, let's celebrate Coach Diolu. Hey, Miss Lara Yeku is here. Can we celebrate her? Can we celebrate her? You're most welcome. No, the other chair, the middle. The middle. All right. Thank you. All right. Any other person wants to share the expectations for the event? Any other person wants to share the expectation? I'm expecting that Miss Lara Yeku will become my cousin today. I've added 2 cousins to my cousin list. Exactly. The late Bonking says when you see someone that you like what they are doing and you aspire to be like, whether they are related to you by blood, they become your what? They become your cousin. So cousin, I'm coming to your DM tomorrow, and I'm introducing myself as your cousin. And you know that when someone is a cousin, they become family. So there's no distance in the spirit. How many of us know Lara Yeko? How many of us know her? I know a lot of people were excited. Lara Yeko is coming, Lara Yeko is coming. Awesome. Thank you for fighting the good fight for us. We see the good work on the streets of LinkedIn, and we are grateful to God for it. All right. So, Miss Lara, I'm taking you first. All right. Are you ready for us? 2 minutes. Okay. So whilst we wait for Miss Lara to settle in, what else? Any other person? What expectations do you have? Me, I want to be earning some kind of income. Me, I'm tired of some level of income. Forget that thing that they say salary is the money they pay you to. What is that statement again? Come on. Some people are earning salaries and their dreams are getting bigger. So, salary is not what they pay you to forget your dream. Is what they are paying you for the value that you are adding to the organization or whatever it is that you are doing for them in that place. Some people are doing some remote work and they are earning in dollars. In fact, some of them, they're not even earning in one currency. They're earning into pound sterling. That's one currency that has two names, pound sterling. So it's not just enough that people tell you that salary is the money they are paying you to forget your dreams. But people are making it big. The CEOs of MTN, the CEOs of Google, the CEOs of very great companies doing great, amazing things. I'm sure they are not paying them to forget their dreams at all. So let's have that mindset. Let's prepare to get the best from this meeting, and let's ensure that we are here for this. We'll try as much as possible to round off in good time, because we know tomorrow is Monday. Everyone has to go prepare for the new week again. So we ensure that we'll live in time, basically. All right. What did you say? Okay. All right. So Ms. Lara is ready for us. I'm going to just read her profile briefly, and then we'll have the first session. How many of us are excited? Show some excitement. Sorry, just give me a minute, please. Oh my goodness. Okay. So, Coach Omolara Yeku is a global HR leader, executive coach, mentor, international speaker, design thinking expert, and author who is well recognized for her immense innovative contributions to the current trends and practices in the evolution of human resources management in Nigeria. Lara is currently a divisional director and is head of HR Food Division at Flour Mills of Nigeria PLC. As a highly respected HR thought leader, she has won several awards, including 2019 Talent Management Strategist, 100 Women B2B Thought Leadership, and second LinkedIn Top 10 Women Thought Leaders to follow in 2020. 40 HR leaders in 2022 to follow in Nigeria by People Home. She's a member of the International Coaching Federation USA and a strength corp with Gallup Strengths Incorporation in the USA. She recently developed an executive education with Yale School of Management. She's the founder of HR Gems Network, a community of professionals with a common goal to be positive change agents, and the author of the innovative storytelling book and mentoring book, My HR Storybook. She is happily married and blessed with 3 children. She loves to dance and finds fulfillment in impacting lives positively. Without further ado, can we please welcome Miss Lara Yeko.
Was that my profile you just read? That's the way you were reading. I was wondering, who is this person? I want to meet this person. Thank you so much. Thank you. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Please put your hands together for yourself for being here at this right time. Thank you. Apologies, I came in late, a few minutes late. I missed my way. But thank God for Google Map. Okay, I'd like to start by appreciating Dr. Senior Coach TJ. Please put our hands together for him. It's someone that I admire so much, and when he reached out to me, I felt so honored and so humbled, and I said, no, I'm going to give up whatever it takes to be here. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. And my paddy in the house, Professor Shola. Please put your hands together for him as well. Thank you. And I'm really so glad to be here, because when it comes to knowledge sharing and impacting people, especially in the new world of work that we are in, I'm always delighted to just come and share. Because growing up in my career, I didn't have everything that we have now in this age and time. And on that note, I just want to say thank you to everyone for making our time to be here. This afternoon, I'm going to be talking about strategies for building progressive career in the 21st century. Strategies for building progressive career in the 21st century. And when I got that topic, I smiled. Because do you believe God is strategic in designing and building things? Do you believe our God is strategic? Because one of the principles for success in life is the ability to strategize. Because when you strategize, things don't just happen to you all of a sudden. Things doesn't happen to you by chance, just like that. But because you're well prepared and you're strategic in what you do, that way you're able to create and design the life that you want for yourself. I'm going to be sharing a bit of stories today just to encourage us and also to bring it home the importance of strategizing for our career success. But if we take it a bit into the career space, we believe that the world of work has evolved and is still evolving. A couple of years ago, COVID came, and what felt like it's impossible became normal. And then we had our new normal after COVID came. That impacted the way we live our life, the way we interact, the way we communicate. It accelerated a lot of changes. And those who were prepared, not everyone was typically prepared, but those who were able to evolve and adapt, they made the best of the situation. And those who couldn't, of course, you can tell what happened to them. So we've had several socio-economic evolution over the years. I remember way back when I was younger, those telephones that you have to you put your hand and then you whine, did anyone see that telephone? Oh, okay, I'm in the right place. You're making me, wait now. Okay, did you use it? Okay. Oh, okay. That's good. That's nice. Because I remember then my dad used to even lock it. Yeah, I used to tap it.
And at the end of the month, we would look at who made the call.
Exactly. And then, did anyone see those TV that had doors? You put your hand, you can see the smile on your face. It's bringing those nostalgic feeling back. You know? I mean, we're here smiling, and I'm sure my children, they were wondering, Mommy, what's going on here? But that has evolved. And the beauty is, as the world of work has changed, a lot has also changed with it. The way we do things, the jobs that are available, the jobs that are relevant, the jobs we need to do, the skills we need to have, all of those things are equally evolving as the world of work is evolving. So that takes me to my question. As the world of work is evolving, what strategies do you have to remain relevant and to succeed in the evolution of work? I'm a very spiritual person. I believe we're all Christians here today. Praise the Lord, somebody. We have Christians in the house. There's this scripture that I love so much, Ecclesiastes 11 verse 6. It reads, Sow your seed in the morning, and do not be idle in the evening, for you do not know whether morning or evening sowing will succeed, or whether both of them alike will be good. I'd like to draw up a few insights from this scripture before I go into the core strategy, because I always believe that we become first within what we become without. Which means if you are going to succeed, if you are going to have a successful career, first it has to start from your inner man. And it's your inner man that takes you to that external person that you see. And so permit me, if I talk career, and I start from the foundation of God's words, because every successful career must be built on the foundation of God's word. Yes, you might become a superstar, you might have the right skills, but the foundation is the word of God. That is where your source of career inspiration and insight, that is where revelation for your career should start from. And that is why I'm sharing the scripture this morning. As that scripture said, right? Sow your seed in the morning. First, I would highlight sow. When we talk about sowing, it's the act of, planting a seed. What does that mean? What comes with sowing? First is planning. If you want to grow crop, you plan what you need to sow, right? In addition to that, you also plan the season that is best for that seed you want to sow. So I ask us today, do we plan our careers? Do you take time every month to reflect? Ask yourself, my career, where am I? What do I need to do? Am I on track? Do I have the right skills and capability? Is my career going to be relevant in a couple of months' time? That self-introspection for our careers, we need to do it. Yes, we are Christians. We'll go to God. We pray, oh, Lord, I need a job. Lord, I want this promotion. Lord, I want this. Lord, my line manager is toxic. Help me. Lord, this, Lord, that. But do we even ask God, Lord, for my career, what's your will for my career? So that relationship has to be there. That planning has to be there. Studying. I always ask people, in your career journey, are you very aware of the trends of what is happening in your industry? Depending on the industry you're in, depending on the profession you're in, you have to be aware of the trends of what is happening in your industry. I'll share a very quick story of myself. When I started HR, I discovered that I love numbers. And I started self-training myself because I was staying with my uncle then, who was an accountant. Anytime he comes home with those accounting Excel books, I would go in and read and, learn a bit. And then my first job request into Accenture came. I had applied through someone. I sent my CV through someone. Nothing happened. Then somebody called me, a friend who works there, called me and said, there's a role in HR for an HR analyst. However, do you have Excel skills? That was all they wanted. I said, yes, I do now. Even though I hadn't done any formal training, I had been self-training myself. Then I went for the interview and the assessment, and I got the job because I had Excel skills. So I got in, I was running and managing payroll in HR. And after a while, I realized that it wasn't just having an Excel skill that was important, but building data analytics skills. So I progressed my skill in Excel to learning data analytics. And that skill is one of the things that sets me apart even amongst my peers in my organization. Because they know when it comes to analyzing data, bringing out insight, presenting it in the right visuals, Lara Yeku is the first person you call to. So your skill must stand you out. What do you do so well that people need to know that you do so well in your organization? Because when there is an opportunity, that would come to the fore. I've heard instances where there were recommendations for some HR leaders within my organization to lead certain projects, and I've been chosen like twice or 3 times, just because I had a skill that had set me apart. So it's important to know the skill that you have as you sow. Understanding your external environment too is important. You need to have a vision for your career. Yes, a lot of us probably started our careers based on what was available for us at that time. You know, like for me, I wanted an HR job at first. Eventually, I got an admin role. I had to take it because I needed to survive. But over the years, I was able to pivot out. So sometimes what you want at that moment might not be available, but what is available, make the best of it. Make the best of it. When I got into the organization through the admin role, I knew what I wanted. Whenever I'm done with my admin role, I will go to HR department, I will farms, hey, what's up, what's happening in HR, teach me, what are you people doing there? You know, and I was building relationship until there became an open role because I had built relationship, had shown interest, and I was also learning, I was supporting and assisting, and I got eventually into HR role. Still looking at the same scripture, next is the seed, which is also very important. The seed that we sow, in this context, I would liken it to our content. Our content, your state of being. Are you a good seed that brings value? Are you a good seed that brings increment? Are you a good seed that is innovative in your thinking? Are you a good seed that is creative? Are you a good seed that, you know, people can't just but be blessed with your presence with regards to your skills and the services and the way you show up? Still talking about seed, it's about the state of your inner man, the state of your mindset. When you are in a situation, what do you see? Do you see the cup as half filled or half empty? Do you see challenges or you see opportunities? That is what makes up the seed. It's about your capacity to give, your capacity to do more. It's about your capabilities, right? It's about the skills and the inner strength, your resilience that you have. It's about your nature and your nurture. So I always say to people, if you want to succeed in your career, first look at the man in the mirror and ensure that that seed is ensure that that seed contains what it requires. And then lastly, the third point on that scripture is the season. The scripture said, sow your seed in the morning and do not be idle in the evening. That speaks to seasons. There are different seasons in our career, and that's the honest truth. There was a season when I was out of a job. There was a season where I wrote my own redundancy letter. I tell people, so I've typed my own redundancy letter. Thank you so much. Based on this, there's no more job for you. The only difference was I gave it to my MD who signed it, and I collected my letter. And I humbly walked away. There's a season for everything. I've been out of a job before, and I remember in the mornings when I wake up, I carry my WhatsApp my WhatsApp messages, and I'm reading through, and people will be talking traffic situation, traffic this, traffic that. I'm like, me, I'm in my house. There's no traffic. I'm just there. I'm my own employer, you know. And those moments were quite low. Honestly, I'm going to be very open. There were times I was like, God, is it that I'm not good enough? Come, I'm applying. Coach Lara, she's applying. They're not calling me. Is it that I'm not good enough? All those periods will come where you self-doubt yourself. It's okay. But understand that there's a season for everything. Like the Bible said, there's the morning season and there's the evening season. There's a season where you sow your seed. It could be just sending your CV. And the Bible says, do not be idle. The fact that you've sent your CV doesn't mean you should go sit and do nothing about it. There are other things to do. You can network, right? You can build your other skills and capability. You can do follow-ups. You know, you can make your time for looking for another job, make it worthwhile. Have a plan that speaks to your speaks to how you manage your time in that season. I was coaching someone a couple of 3 months ago, and she was really down. She came and said, oh, I'm tired, I want another job, I've done this, I've done that. She kept complaining and complaining. I was listening. And then when we finished the session, I helped her gain clarity in terms of what she needs to do, what are the steps, the actions she needs to take. First is to gain clarity in terms of what she wants for herself. And one of the things that I realized in my conversation with her was her belief system about herself. She felt I wasn't good enough. Very good CV, good profile. She goes for interviews, and once she gets to the interview venue, everything changes. It happened about 3 times. And I asked her, what is the problem? She said, I don't know. Anytime I go for interviews, I feel excited. I feel I'm well equipped and well prepared for the interview session. But once I see people in front of me, I start juttering, and then I will be short of words. And the people were asking, I don't, yes, ma'am. Like 3 times. So she's lost good opportunity. So I realized that there were some traumatic experience she's had in the past that was hindering her progress. She had started her studies in the university as a medical student. Then after 100 level, into 200 level, they realized there was a mistake somewhere, and at 200 level, she had to drop out of, the university because there was some mistake somewhere. And she felt she was a failure. So she kept seeing her friends in university, and at the end of the day, that traumatic experience of being a failure, she kept carrying it until it got to a point where, she needed to heal herself from that traumatic experience. What am I saying? We do have experiences that might limit us from progressing in our careers. So there's also a need for us to ensure that we understand the seasons we are in, and then we'll seek professional help where required. And there are different requirements. The morning season and the evening season requires different requirements. So the morning season, when you are planting, the requirement is different from the evening season. If you're in the early stage of your career, the requirement that is required of you is different. If you're in the latter stage of your career, the requirements are different. There's just a need for us to all be aware of the requirements at the seasons that we are in. And lastly, not knowing. And for me, this is where the state of test of your faith comes into play. There are times we don't feel we qualify for certain job roles. It's okay. I always tell people my own story. When I got called for my current role at Flour Mills, number one, I didn't even apply. I'll get to that part of the story. The day of the interview, I walked into the company, and when you walk into a company, you have to sign those visitors register. So I saw 3 names ahead of my name. I was the 4th person, and it's a small HR industry anyway. And I saw HR director, HR director, HR director, big company. And this is me, jobless, jobless country head, jobless ex-country head of HR, Accenture. Hell, I saw those names like, God, hell, these big people have come for this role. And you also have industry environment because they're also from the FMCG. I don't have the minimum experience I had in FMCG was in Cadbury several years ago. But guess what? So when I got to the front of the door to the MD that was going to interview me, I said to myself, Lara, you don't qualify for this role, but guess what? You qualify because you have a God that is a qualifier. I just had that inner strength. I don't know. So I got into the interview. And what I was able to do differently was to make him see why they had to hire me. 2 things would differentiate me. So I was telling them 2 things that I have that they will be getting in addition to the head of HR role. And I said, sir, first is, I'm a certified coach. So you're not just getting an HR executive, but you're also getting a coach for your leaders to support the transformation of your business leaders. And then number 2, I'm a design thinker. I mean, that's a very rare skill. That's a skill that helps me to co-create and drive transformation within your organization. Ladies and gentlemen, I scaled through that interview. I had another set of interviews with the board of directors in New York. And the day I got the news, the group HR director called me and said, Lara, how did you do it? He said, there were 4 candidates. You were the youngest. You were the least qualified. But how did you do it? You became the chosen one. And he said, congratulations. I don't know how you did it, but you got the job. And 4 years counting, there has been no regret that I got that job. So what am I trying to say? Your beliefs matters a lot. You know, your beliefs, that's what will propel you even when you don't feel qualified for the dreams you want to attain in your career. So please believe in yourself. You might not have all it takes right now, but as long as you're committed to your growth, as long as you're committed to excelling, as long as you're committed to achieving your dreams, please don't second guess yourself. Trust and believe in God. So trust in the process. Sometimes as well, things won't happen the way we always want it. Have I always gotten what I want in life? No. Things will not always happen that way. But trust the process. Trust the person you're becoming. Take your learnings. I've failed several times. I've taken my learnings and I've moved on. So that's just to encourage every one of us. But taking it back into the evolution of career in the 21st century. Now, strategies, key strategies for you. 1 is to understand the environment. Understand the socio-economic impact on the environment. And in addition to that, understand what you need to do differently. I would like us to break the key strategies into 3 pillars. The first pillar is extend, do more. What do I mean? 1, in terms of capabilities that you need to excel in the new world that we're in, 21st century, what are you going to do more of? Because it is when you do more of something that you stand out. It is when you do more, you become extraordinary. What new skill are you going to build? What areas are you going to increase in your capacity? Very, very important. That's the first pillar. The second pillar is optimize. What do I mean? What can you do better compared to others? In terms of your talent, in terms of your experience, what can you do better? What will qualify you to optimize, to do more? And then the third pillar is expand value. What can you do differently? What creative skills, innovative skills do you have to do differently? Under each of those pillars, I would also like us to understand the importance of being aware of the current trends and times and what you can do differently. The future of work greatly has impacted how we do work. That's number 1. How do we do work? When we talk about how we do work, what skill do you have that can drive the execution and the efficiency of work? Every company is looking for people that can bring them value. Yes, so you need to look at the skills in such areas. Skills around technology-driven skills, AI skills, robotic automation. That's one area. The other area is skills that helps people to deliver more on work. And those are the soft skills. I was going through the World Economic Forum on the skills that are relevant, core skills for workers in 2023. And when I looked at that, it's online, you can read it. World Economic Forum skills. When I looked at the list of skills, the bulk of the skills that will be required are soft skills. Yeah, soft skills. Skills such as analytical thinking. Everybody wants to work with people who can think analytically. It's not just, oh, they said this, they said that, and there's no level of initiative at all. Analytical thinking, creative thinking. Skills that when you encounter challenges in your organization, people can always come to you because you dare to think different. You see the problem differently, and you show and exhibit creative thinking. The third is resilience, flexibility, and agility. And the world of work now that we are in, you will agree with me that there's just so much that we go through and we face every day. I mean, this year we've had a lot of disruptive things within our environment that has impacted work and the way we work. First was cash crunch. Do we all remember? Because it looks like I'm talking about last year. Oh my God. Hey. Me. If I tell you my experience, we will not live here. I was out of gas at home. There was no gas to cook. There was, I think, that experience. And yet at work, in fact, we just thank God for life, Abi? God saw us through. What am I saying? The resilience that we all needed to pull through to survive at that period. Honestly, I don't know how I did it personally. I don't know, because there was a time that my head was heavy. I mean, I was going to work some days, and my head was heavy like this. I'm wondering, am I wearing wig? There was a time I even had to plait all back. No wig, nothing, yet the head was still heavy, you know. But God saw us through. Yes, so there's also a need for us to be self-aware and motivation, technology literacy, empathy, active listening, leadership, and social influence. I'd like to talk a bit more on leadership. Leadership has become a very crucial skill in the world of work that we're in now, and it's not just by title. Honestly, leadership is not by title. Rather, leadership is how you lead and influence others, starting by leading and influencing yourself. I always tell people, it's not about telling people what to do, but it's about you yourself. How do you demonstrate that positive influence through you? Another soft skill you need to look at building is systems thinking. Systems thinking. Oh, I'm in customer service. My work just ends in customer service. That's all. No. You're in customer service. You should have knowledge of your business, knowledge of business development, have an idea of what HR is all about. What does finance do? You know, your sales and marketing, how do they sell their products? Systems thinking, because what that does for you is stands you out. When people need to, when the business needs someone who has some form of inclination about everything happening in the business, you come to mind, because they know you have the interest of the business at heart, and overall it's for your own learning. I tell people, in my role as head of HR, I don't just do head of HR role. I volunteer to be part of some projects within a company. I'm a project manager. I volunteer to also lead some initiative that has led me to take my CBAB certification, Certified Business Analyst certification. For those of us who are processing Canada, you know now. I will not say more than that. Okay. You know, so that really important soft skills that we all need to build that will stand us out in this new world of work. As I wrap up, when we talk about key strategies for building progressive career in the 21st century, it starts from, like I mentioned, having the right belief and mindset that regardless of what is going on in the economy, there is a whole lot of opportunity. So it starts with keeping a growth mindset. Mindset that even though you are in Lagos, you can work anywhere in the world. That's where it starts from. You're not limited by your physical location, but you're limited by your mindset. Having the right mindset that whatever you want, and you trust and believe God, you put in the right kind of work you need to do, you can achieve so much more. I tell people when it comes to career in world of work that we are in now, there's a whole lot of opportunities available now than ever before. There's a whole lot of opportunities, but you need to keep an open mind, believe in yourself, be aware of the trend, build the right networks. I think I've worked in about 5 companies. I've only applied to one of those companies. All the jobs I've gotten have been through referrals. Even my current role as head of HR Flamios. Guess from where? WhatsApp. Yes, WhatsApp. When I got my role, I went to the group director. I said to him, "Sir, I don't know you. I don't know you. How come you came to me for this role?" He said, "We are in the same WhatsApp, HR zone. We're in the same WhatsApp. And I watch your content. I watch how you respond. I watch what you do on the WhatsApp group." And I said, "This girl should be on my team." So guys, that's the WhatsApp group that you will be snoozing. You will not make comments. You will not do anything. Somebody will say, "Guys, is anybody in this WhatsApp group?" You will read and pass. You will read and pass. Read and pass. Please, be born again. God is everywhere. God can even find you in WhatsApp. God found me in WhatsApp. So I'm here sharing my story. So guys, make the best of every opportunity. Make the best of every place you find yourself. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you.
Wow. So that was very, very loaded. Please let's appreciate her once more. I'm sure she wants to be on her way out, but she's not going yet. I would like us to ask questions, please. I don't know. Does anybody have questions for her? You cannot listen to things like this and not ask questions. You cannot listen to things like this and not have questions.
Thank you so much, Lara. So my question is very simple. What's the place of God and competence in your career journey?
Thank you so much, Doc, for that question. You remember I said earlier, the God factor. That's the foundation, which is why I came in with a scripture this afternoon rather. Every step I have taken in my career, God had been involved. There were instances where there were dark moments for me. When I was out of a job, right? There were moments even in the job that I had issues at work. I had worked with a toxic boss before. I mean, there were several periods in my career. One of the things that has helped me through is my connection with my source, which is the Holy Spirit. My kids know me, they are here. The Holy Spirit is my buddy. I mean, I bring everything to him, and he leads and guides me. So the God factor is fundamental to our progressive career in the workplace or in the world of now that we're in. That's number one. Number two is competence as well. If you recall, I had shared about self-training myself in Excel skills because I discovered that I had interests and flair for numbers. Which takes me to my point. Self-awareness is important. Being aware of who you are, what you do very well, what you're good at, and also what you're not so good at. So it's not that, oh, I'm not good at this person is better, and then you're focusing on that person and you're forgetting about yourself. So self-awareness is really important. There's something I work with people who come to me for coaching is skill assessment. Do we assess our skills? Do you carry out inventory management on your own skills? What are you really good at? Do you talk so well and you can be better? And are you putting in plans or actions to improve your communication skills? I grew up I grew up very shy because I'm introverted and I couldn't speak in public. I realized where I was going, and I know that for me to get to that dream that I have for myself, public speaking and communication skill is important. Two things that I did. One, I joined Toastmasters Club. I was living at Papa Jao way back then. Saturdays, I would drive to Eco Hotel to attend Toastmasters Club. It's a communication and leadership club. That's number one. Number two, my story is in my HR storybook. I took up network marketing. Several years ago, I was a distributor with Forever Living products. Not because for the money that people, but for me it was self-development, the ability to go and talk to people. I needed to break it. Because you have to sell the product, right, to make your points and then get paid. So I took up network marketing to help me develop my competence in communication and public speaking. Today I can talk to anyone. I wasn't like this some years ago. I wasn't. But it took deliberate effort, knowing of myself, knowing of what I need to do to become who I want to become, and being intentional in the actions that I put in place. And that's the place of competence. So if God would elevate you, you should not be found one thing. There is a place of miracle, but the sustenance of that miracle is a function of your competence. So imagine if God had given me the opportunity, he gave me the opportunity to get my role, and I get into my role. Every organization have 6 months probationary period. Some 3 months ahead. Employers cannot even wait 6 months anymore now. But there's 3 months. So there's 3 months, there's 6 months. God has opened the door, you have gotten into the organization. God has done it. And then you have 3 months, 6 months to prove your competence. And you don't have competence. Will God sustain that miracle? Will God sustain the miracle? No. You will use your hand to sustain the miracle. What am I saying? There's a God factor which is fundamental, and there is the competence factor which is equally important and critical. I hope I answered your question. Thank you.
Okay, so I have a question.
Okay.
So for people who, you mentioned, I know when you're reading your profile, you mentioned something about dancing, mentioned about designing, you mentioned that you did marketing jobs and all of that. I want to ask, for people who are multi-talented, for example, how did you manage to navigate all of these things without feeling like maybe you left one out? And you know the way the story of the talents is, they'll be telling you that you have 5 talents, you not develop this one. God will punish you. And all of that. I know people who are my friends, and I've seen them leave out plenty things that I know that they are very, very good at. I see them give up plenty of those things. And for people who are in that position, you don't want to feel like, if I go to God like this, God give me 5 talents. What do I do from here? How did you manage to navigate? Or in the time of nowadays, there are so many distractions. There are plenty of things that are taking your time, and you have to find a way to manage them.
Thank you very much. That's a brilliant question. How do I do it? So for me, first and foremost, I've been able to put the things that I love to do, the skills that I have, into buckets, and I will explain. One, I love to dance. For those who follow me, Shola, Saturday mornings I'm dancing. My kids will do dance video on YouTube, I post and all of those. So I love to dance. However, I've put that in the bucket of fitness, wellness, well-being. So that's the bucket for me. I still love it. I'm good at dancing, but I've been able to identify where it fits. So wellness, well-being, mental health, physical well-being, I'm doing that. The second is networking, speaking, engaging, communication, and all of those. I've put that in the bucket of professional development. Very clear. You still see me talk and all of those, but it's in professional development bucket for me. Now, I have the functional work career development bucket, which is where all those other things that I do so well to falls into. For instance, my capability, my functional skills have very strong strategic skills. I put it in there. Design thinking. I put it in there because that is a skill that helps me bring value and impact to people. So it's okay to have those multi-skills and talents, but be able to compartmentalize. That's also a strategic thing, to the extent where you're thriving in one, you are equally thriving in others. And that is why a lot of people who are working still have side gigs, right? I have a colleague at work. He's an IT guy, IT infrastructure, network infrastructure guy, yet he's an MC. Saturdays and Sundays, he's doing MCs, comparing, here and there. So that's something else he loves to do, but he's able to compartmentalize it. So once you're able to compartmentalize your skills, your interests into certain buckets and areas, then you don't become jack of all trade. You're very deliberate and intentional because you're also expressing yourself in those areas. I hope I answered your question. Thank you very much. Okay, I have one more question at the back. Good afternoon.
Right. Okay. Good afternoon. Thank you very much for your speech. I have one question, and you mentioned that you worked in 5 places. The question is, how do you know, as an employee, as an employer, or as an employee somewhere, how do you know when it's time to move? How do you know when it's time to move in your career?
Yeah. Good question. My first response would be the God factor. What is God saying? Is God saying it's time to move or not? Or God is saying you can still stay there? So one is the God factor, because he knows our tomorrow. I know the story. Okay. I remember the story of a friend. He was okay. Hello. Okay. He was out of a job for a couple of years, about 2-3 years, and then he got a job at an organization. Happy, excited. 2 weeks after he assumed his new role in that organization, on his way back from work, he had an accident and he died. He was my church member. They had waited to have a child for a couple of years, and the wife was already pregnant with a child when the whole tragedy happened. But I remember the wife mentioning, to us, the friends, she kept saying, I told him not to take that job. I told him not to take that job, but he was desperate for a job. There was something in me that kept saying, share you and she share, but there was something in me that I just kept telling him, but he said, I've been out of a job, I just need to take this job, and he took the job. And then 2 weeks, he passed. I'm a believer that God is involved in everything that has to do with our lives, because he's our creator, he knows our tomorrow. Just follow whatever God says to you. There was the company I had worked with the longest, I think about 6 years, 7 years into my career journey with that organization. I was going to resign because I was working with a toxic leader. But Holy Spirit kept me through that journey because it was preparing me for something bigger and better. And if I hadn't gone through the journey of working with a toxic leader, I wouldn't know how to be a better leader. Because I needed to know how not to lead. I needed to know how to lead differently. I mean, you come to work and you go to bathroom and you're crying. God, what am I doing this? The tears. You know? And I know I needed to go through that to use my story to inspire someone. But guess what? I went through that period. Today, I'm not bragging, but I've learned how not to lead. So I'm intentional in the way I lead my team. I'm intentional in the way I make them feel, because I don't want them to feel what I felt. But if I'd ran through or I ran away from that experience, maybe I would have been half-baked as a leader and perhaps pass on that toxic experience to someone else. But there's a reason and purpose for everything, and there's also a season for everything. But I would encourage you to just go by the leading of the Holy Spirit. So I cannot give you a definite answer of when to go, when not to go. But please go by the leading of the Holy Spirit. That's what has worked for me. I don't have any other solution. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can we appreciate Coach Lara one more time? My cousin, please wait. Please. Yeah, my new cousin.
Evidence.
This is my cousin.
We can't take the picture alone now.
And after this one.
Okay. Thank you.
Can we celebrate Coach Lara one more time? All right. So many things to learn today and so many things to put into practice. I hope it was a good time. It was an experience. All right. So we'll be bringing up Mr. Shola Oyegbade shortly. I just want to read his profile and then we will have him speak to us. So, Mr. Shola Oyegbade, SPHRI, ACIPM, HRPL, serves as the managing partner of Flex Solutions Limited, a company specializing in human capacity building and organizational development. Flex Solutions is known for providing flexible, functional, and result-oriented solutions for managing people, driving learning, facilitating development, tracking employee performance, and improving business growth. Shola is dedicated to helping industry leaders and practitioners reinvent, evolve, and pursue their purposeful path when they reach a plateau in their careers. He's also a certified life coach from LCA Coaching Limited and combines his coaching skills with training to offer a blended training and coaching approach to learning, performance, and growth for his clients. With more than 27 years of experience, in the financial services industry, Shola has worked for top financial institutions, including F&B International Bank, Fidelity Bank, First City Monument Bank Limited, and Assets and Resource Management Holding Company Limited. He holds an MBA from Lincoln University, Auckland, CA, USA, and a certificate in leadership from Harvard Division of Continuing Education, Boston, Massachusetts, USA. Shola has honed the skills in diverse areas such as organizational development, performance management, learning and knowledge management, life coaching, leadership and team building, project management, relationship management, creative thinking and systems design, talent management, measuring training impact, and ROI analysis. He has contributed actively to several organizational projects, including SAGE projects, digital transformation, manpower, amongst others. Shola is a results-oriented person who has a strong passion for making positive deposits to people's lives and businesses. Can we celebrate Mr. Shola Oyegbade one more time? This is my second cousin. Right?
Yeah, we are related
We are
actually.
related,
Yeah. Interesting. We're in the afternoon. Good afternoon, everybody. I thoroughly enjoyed myself listening to my sister, and of course, another source of inspiration, because we now live in the world whereby it's no longer competition, it's now co-opetition, whereby you cooperate to compete, and we cooperate to compete to make bigger impact, because on your own you can just do so much. But when you come together with people of like minds, people of like values and all of that, you are able to gain traction faster and you go higher quicker. So please celebrate Lara Yaku for me. Okay. So taking that out of the way, I'm not taking this opportunity lightly. In fact, I feel like a pastor. Apart from the fact I'm wearing my cap. So thank you so much, dear brother. That's Dr. Tunji Babajide. Please help me put your hands together for this phenomenal preacher, life coach, and impact, specialist. That's what I call people that are behind the pulpit, but at the same time, they find creative ways to create forums, all right, and opportunities for people to be empowered with, life skills. I love that, last explanation you gave when you're talking about the place of God and the place of competence. And I think the church now, we're beginning to focus on competence, helping people to develop themselves and be able to have usable skills, all right, what you can apply to make impact wherever you find yourself. Holy Spirit is always with us, but trust me, somebody said that in God we trust, but when it comes to business, show us the number, all right? Yes, so the same thing applies to us. So please celebrate your pastor once again. And I must also celebrate the first lady of the house. I had the privilege of meeting her just, as I was coming in. And I must salute, the effort that she's put into supporting and helping you to keep the work going. And I can only pray that it's going to keep getting better and better for us in Jesus' name. And I will say that you can't have this kind of organization built on one man. It's not possible. So I would like for you to put your hands together and celebrate yourself for upholding the hand of the man of God, the set man that God has put over this house. Please celebrate yourself. Come on. All right. Thank you so much. And I must thank you for bringing me up immediately after, because I could see some of the things that I would love to also mention, but of course she has done good justice to them in our presentation. So I'm sticking to the theme, which is building a progressive career. All right, I have something out there. But I want us to just think what usually makes either an organization or a nation or even a society to declare a state of emergency. Because for me today, if you ask me, the workplace, the way work is done, like Lara explained and all of that, has actually constituted some form of state of emergency for anybody that really want to thrive in today's workplace. So we are in a state of emergency right now, and that is why I believe that this is a very needful conversation that must happen again and again and again, just like we know that faith cometh by hearing and hearing by the word of God. So you can never really exhaust the conversation around, career development and also thriving at the same time. But when you're in a state of emergency, and the very first thing that you have, all right, in front of you as a critical goal is survival. As all of us in this room, you agree with me that when COVID hit, in fact, COVID actually opened the door for this new state of emergency that we find ourselves, because it's going to continue to be like that. All right? But because we are Christians, we know that no matter how chaotic the situation becomes, no matter how disrupted the space where we are all playing becomes, we are still going to stand out. Why? Because we have the spirit of dominion, as it were. So having said that, I not so much making I would like to ask us that when you're talking about career, all right, in your own definition, in your own understanding, how would you describe what a career is? Because it's a career development. Build your career, all right? Choose your career. Stay in the place of your career. What exactly is career development? Please, I'm a trainer by work. So please, you have to take me like that. So I need somebody to just tell me when you say career, or let me quickly ask you my follow-up question. How does it, differ from a job, a profession, and an occupation? Excuse me, quickly. I need you to participate. Who's going to make an attempt? Yes. Say that again, please. Sum total. So it's inclusive of the job, inclusive of the profession, inclusive of the occupation. So that is why it is broader. Thank you. Please put your hands together for him. All right. That's a very quick way to just get straight to it. So it's a sum total of your life. And I could also link this to what Lara was saying earlier on when she was responding to the question of how do you balance everything? All right. And she was trying to, tell you that, she was able to find reasons, all right, behind each activity or each, activities that you find yourself in. Particularly the fitness part is part of your life, all right? The family part is part of your life. The professional part is part of, even the, as a married woman too, everything together. But when you are talking of career is all encompassing. And let me quickly tell you what somebody said about it. And I'm going to just, shed more light on this definition. He said it's a profession for which one trains. So there's a place of training when it comes to career. All right. And which is undertaken as a permanent calling. Most of us, we relate the word calling only to pastors. And I was having a conversation with my brother sometimes yesterday, and I said, look, the calling is also like a place of purpose for me. When you say something is your calling, something is your purpose. But if I ask everybody in this room right now, that how many of you have discovered your life purpose? I've asked the question already. You've discovered your life purpose. Please raise up your hand. But thank you very much. But if I tell you that everybody in this room, you are already living and fulfilling purpose. Excuse me, are you with me? Yeah. So what it means is that some of us, we have gotten to the point whereby we become conscious of the purpose that we are living for. Why some of us, we are still living and going through life, I'm permitted to use the word carelessly, without really taking into cognizance the importance of all the experiences, all right, and all the things that life throws at you. Because all of that would eventually begin to help you know that this is what you are created for. The problems you are created to solve. The solution you are created to bring, to bear, as it were. So, ladies and gentlemen, the second part of the definition says, a field for or pursuit of consecutive progressive achievement, especially either in public space, professional place, or business life. And what I can bring out from here is that you are primarily, your value or your impact in life is primarily about your person beyond before it becomes about your work or before it becomes about your profession. It's first and foremost about your person before it becomes about your profession. Are you with me? So until you have this understanding, you will no longer be selecting what you respond to in terms of jobs, what you respond to in terms of opportunities, because you can't really create. Let me put it this way: you can't invent your own mission as a person, but you will dictate it along your journey in life. Hear that again, and it is not my quote. It's one of deep thinkers that have come up with that understanding. And if you have read this book, The Purpose-Driven Life, you will understand that you can't invent your own mission. You can have, at best, an attempt to write a mission statement. Your mission statement will be as clear as your vision for the period that you are writing it. Are you with me? What you are writing right now, has it occurred to you before that you go back to your notes of 2-3 years and said, who wrote this? Because you have gained better understanding, better clarity about that subject, and therefore you are changing it. So anytime you write my mission statement, excuse me, it is just to the extent to which you can see at that time. All right? But ultimate mission in life, you can't invent it. You will have to dictate it. And the place of detection comes when you begin to listen to the Holy Spirit. Are you with me, guys? So moving on, ladies and gentlemen, for some of us, we may begin to ask that, okay, must we even walk? Has it ever occurred to you to ask that, must we walk? Okay, so I'm just going to give a few references in the Bible so that we settle that in our mind that all of us were supposed to walk. All right? Adam was given a work to do. That's in Genesis chapter 2, verse 15. Jesus Christ didn't call anyone that was a loafer as one of his 12. All right? And in 2 Thessalonians 3, 10 to 11, he said that he that does not walk, underline, does not walk, should not what? Should not should not eat. And of course, Jesus Christ walked. And that is in Mark 6:3. He said, is not this the carpenter? So Jesus was what? A carpenter, the son of Mary. And of course, Dorcas was a business woman. Acts 9:36. So please, could you help me turn to your neighbor that now you know you must walk. You must walk. You are created to make, because it is through work. Please say it. Because it's through your work that you can make impact and can communicate your relevance to the world that you are living in. So that's settled. Some of us, we may also be asking that, different professions. We ask some people, we have some early professions in the Bible, and over the years, all right, we've been able to see different professions evolve, as it were, as well. So I just have a laundry list of about maybe 8 or 10 professions that I picked from the Bible. We have farmer or shepherd. We have tanners. We have carpenters, masons. We have tent makers. We have medical doctor. We have goldsmith. We have teachers. We have scholars. We have lecturers. We have professors. We have musicians. And we have athletes and boxers. Ladies and gentlemen, so what it simply means is that when you're talking about developing career, it is part of God's agenda for us to be able to have dominion here on earth. And there is nobody that can really make any meaningful impact without coming to that understanding that, yes, it is through my career and through my profession that I will be able to make impact and be able to communicate my relevance to my world. Are you still with me, guys? So, but there are some issues that we have at hand which makes this conversation very interesting at this time. And I want some of us to tell me, and I think also Lara, make reference to some of them in our presentation. There are things that have changed the way we do the work, all right? In fact, somebody said the way we walk, the way we war, the way we love, all right, and the way we do everything actually has changed. And the workplace has actually changed. The workforce has changed. The work itself has changed. And to that extent, everybody in this room, if we establish that God wants us to work, okay, then it means that we must begin to ask ourselves, what do we need to change? How do we need to align or to blend or to adapt to the changes that we are seeing in the world today? And I'm just going to quickly say, there are basic ingredients for being able to build a thriving career. Being able to build a thriving career stems from you understanding who you are. All right? And who you are is a function of your strength, your weaknesses. Do you know the reason why I pause before I say weaknesses? Because I really don't totally believe that God created anybody weak. Yep. So we don't have weaknesses in the sense, in that real sense. What we have, so most times in business schools, they would take you through, she's a master strategist. There's no how you can do strategy without, looking at SWOT analysis. All right? And SWOT analysis will attempt to identify strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. The first two internal to you, the second two external. But I beg to differ that I would rather speak to you about SWOT analysis. Replacing that weakness for loophole. So the loophole becomes the gap for you to be able to develop yourself. When you are of an understanding, so there's nothing wrong for me not to be so good in Excel yet. So as a career professional, you must understand the power of yet or not yet, such that you don't allow opportunities to I would like to slip by you, kind of. And the reason why I'm saying that is because we have a lot of people today, they are stuck simply because they are not willing, all right, to make the investment to close the gap, all right, that they have in their areas of maybe competence or their areas of skills, as it were. So I'm going this route to let you know that every one of us in this room, we have strength that God created us with. In fact, we are created to be powerful. But experiences at some point would, help us or probably move us to develop ourselves in certain area more than the other. But when you begin to look at going into a particular direction in your career, it is important that you evaluate your strengths and evaluate your loophole. Your loophole basically are usually the areas whereby you need to make more investment, or I pay more attention, and probably seek help from others in order to close it up. There's so much I can say on that, but now, reason why your education is important when you are talking about the ingredients for you to really thrive is because we live in a world that is knowledge economy now. And I love when Lara kept saying that I went for CBAC, I went for design thinking, I went for, and all of that. It's because you have to be intentional about building yourself. And building yourself comes from you understanding that it is through the work that you are doing right now that you are communicating your relevance to the world. Somebody says that the rent that we all pay for staying here on earth is service. So, as a career person, you want to build your career, you want to progress, all right, and get to the peak of your career, then you have to take self-development, seriously. You have to take it seriously. I recall a number, and some of us, it's so interesting now that, looking back, some of the decisions that I personally took in my career, I was just taking those decisions because I know that they were good decisions. They were the right thing for me to do. This young man read Library, Archival, and Information Science from the University of Ibadan. Library. Yeah. And interestingly, you see, that's why I believe that statement that said that you can't invent your mission, you have to dictate it. I went to UI not because I applied to go to UI. If you ask me, I would have ended up becoming a fine artist at some point. And at another point, I would have become a lawyer. Are you with me? But interestingly, when I eventually find myself in library, archival, and information science, I begin to ask myself, what do you want from this experience? And I was very clear what I didn't want. I said I don't want to end up sitting behind the desk in a library and just be dishing out books from people that want to progress in their lives. And I will be on the same seat, and everybody will be graduating, and they will be coming. Different generations will pass through me, and I will just become a monument in the library. So I was clear, and I began to ask myself, where else can I deploy my knowledge if after graduation? And as I think I was just blessed. The first place I worked was Aberdeen inside UI, and Aberdeen Media Resource Center. And from Aberdeen Media Resource Center, I met somebody that connected me to USIS when USIS was still in the Badon, United States Information Services. And I found myself there. So, okay. So I can actually really work outside of the school, library, and all of that. And from that, the next place I worked was Wale Babalakin Law Library in Lagos. And that was where my career trajectory actually changed, from moving away from library to what I'm doing today. And I will tell you why. I was privileged to meet a Russian woman called Nadia Akindele. And she came to Babalakin Law Library one day, and we had a conversation. I said, "You just study library?" I said, "Yes, I study library." "Oh, really?" "Okay." That time there was no GSM, because I'm talking about 95. I left you at 94, by the way. So the woman said, "Okay, that I will come for you because I'm currently pitching for a job with Guaranty Trust Bank, because they wanted to build business library for them." And the conversation was just a very brief one, but I believe that God had ordained that I was going to go through that part. So the woman came back for me, said that they have approved the project, and therefore I want you on my team. So, and I became a consultant, because the company was Praxis Consulting. So I left Wale Babalakin Law Library to join Praxis Consulting, and we started building business libraries for banks, actually. We started with GT. We did for FSB International Bank. We did for Intercontinental Bank. We did for Chartered Bank. We did for Kakawa Discount House, Associated Discount House. So that was how, I just realized that, okay, even though I'm not a banker, I'm a bank worker. Do you get that? Because we used to, make jest of people that are not in core banking operations or sales aspect of banking as bank workers. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm still talking about your education is very important nonetheless, but you have to begin to, exercise some social awareness, be aware of what is going on, and know when you need to really quickly adapt and probably change and all of that. So I found myself in banking eventually, and around 97 precisely, they terminated the contract of Praxis Consulting. And one of the banks called me and said, "We would like to retain you." That was FSB International Bank, that is now Fidelity Bank today. And the moment I joined them, guess what they did? They moved me out of library into the strategic management department. So they changed my job function from just being a librarian to research officer. So I moved from being a research officer to planning officer in strategy. And before they moved me out of strategy into HR. Excuse me, how could I have sat down and designed that trajectory that brought me here today? Are you with me? But don't forget that there must be something in basic minimum that you have. And that is why every miracle we say that, what do you have? What's that in your hand? So what you have in your hand will always be that the stepping stone to something else that God wants to do for you. So because we are believers, our understanding needs to be higher. All right? I love it, again, when Lara said that, the major factor for us is the God factor. The same for me. Moving from one job to the other has always been like that. By the way, I spent 10 years with FSB International Bank. All right? Moving away from FSB International Bank, briefly with Fidelity Bank, about 6 months or thereabout. That was first, it was through first merger. All right, in 2005, the banking sector, the first reforms that happened there. And I find myself in FCMB, that's First City Monument Bank. I spent 14 years, 164 days in FCMB. Now, during that period, I had offers. I had organizations coming for me. But the way I describe what you describe as God factor is that I must always check whether I have a release in my spirit. Once I don't have that release simply means peace. Once we are at peace with it, even when the money is not enough, you have to go. So ladies and gentlemen, I think it's always good for you to know how you begin to develop yourself, even when you have the first point, which is your education. But beyond your education, remember that you yourself, you must have an idea of what you really want out of life. Remember when I studied library, I told myself that I don't want to end up this way, but this is what I desire. And because we are in church, let me just say God. But again, for those that may be listening to this, the cosmic has a way of orchestrating our path to ensure that what you are designed for will come to you. But like Lara said, by the time that which is designed for you gets to you, have you really, really prepared yourself and ready to take on that which has been designed for you? Guys, are you with me? So your skills, very important. Skills, I won't want to dwell too much on that. We already understand what skills is a component of competence, by the way. All right? So skills is just how you know how to do something. All right? But generally under competence, you know that there's a knowledge acquisition aspect, which is you know what to do. Skills say that you know how to do it. And ultimately, for that skills and knowledge to make impact, you must be willing to deploy them. You must be willing to use them. Are you with me, guys? So then, again, your values in life and all of that. Let me move on. So what are you passionate about today? So because there are indications that will let you know, if you're on the right track. If you're on the right track, somebody said that if there's this way we play with words. If the desirable is not available, the available will become what? Yeah, so you must embrace that mentality about life. All right? So, in other words, whatever is given to you to do, don't say that I'm just using this to pass time. When you do that, you despise that which has been given to you. And no, yes, it's true. Whatever is given to you, so this is the way I put it, that whatever your hands finds to do, not just do it well, do it as unto the Lord. Are you with me? So God said, I'll go and sell pure water. If you have that understanding, it's God that asked me to go and sell pure water. I'm going to do it in the most excellent fashion that nobody has ever experienced before. It doesn't matter what people say about what I'm doing, but because I know that it is God that said, go and sell this pure water. Let's even assume that he said, how do I hear that is God? Whatever your hands finds to do is the definition of how you hear from God. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Oh, where I am right now, there's a purpose being fulfilled right now. Do you understand? So whatever is given to you. And the reason I started a campaign in FCMB at some point when I became the head of the academy. And that campaign is that don't work for salary. You said something about salary earlier on. All right, but let me bust that bubble. The truth is that stop working for salary wherever you find yourself. I'm telling you the truth. Because no matter how much you are being paid, it's still a cap. And if you work your output, you want your output to be commensurate or to be at parallel with what you are being paid, you have just automatically placed a ceiling on your growth. You don't get it. So let me put it this way. Oprah Winfrey said, the work you do is like your personal autograph. So autograph it with excellence. So if TJ calls me now and said, help me to undo this and this, and I'm going to pay you X amount of money. And I look at it that, is this not the same thing that Chevron Texaco called me and they paid me about maybe 50 million naira? All right. And he's asking me to come and do the same job. And he said, I will pay you 5 million naira. And I said, because he's paying me next to nothing. All right. I reduce the quality of my output. All right. And that work is taken somewhere. I say, who did this job? Somebody did something that is more fantastic for Chevron Texaco. And I'm the same guy. But I said, who did this shoddy job? I won't be there to say, do you know how much you paid me? Don't you know that you just paid me only 5 million? Because the work you do is like your personal autograph. So autograph with excellence, wherever you find yourself. Are we connecting with this? So that's why I'm saying that there's a place of passion in your profession. Do it passionately, whether it's what you plan to do or something that just, lands on your lap and that's what you find at that particular point in time. So you need to begin to ask yourself what holds your attention, what gets you angry when not properly done. What are you good at? What are you excellent at? Lara said, what do you do differently? Or what can you do differently? In that trial, I think she shared one triangle with us the other time. What you need to do more, all right? And what you need to do differently, as it were. So you need to begin to ask yourself. And I call those things, don't mind me, sometimes I use some words that will be very interesting. What are your discriminating competencies? What are those competencies that can differentiate you? But I choose the word discriminate, whereby people will begin to say, is she the only person? Then your own unique selling point. Because at the end of the day, when people will never celebrate you for your similarities, you will only be celebrated for your differences. So you dare to be different. You must. You must. You are created to be. If God wants us to be similar, everything will just be. In fact, all of us will look like TJ. All of you will look like me. Or will look like Clara. But God is an intentional God. And we have a lot of reasons to know that God doesn't want you to be like the other person. At best, draw inspiration from them. At best, just pick what you can, that can make you a better version of yourself at the end of the day. So consider this, ladies and gentlemen. Ask yourself this question. Would Michael Jackson have been successful if he had chosen to be a professor of psychology? Would you have known about Einstein if he was a footballer? All right? And would, see Ronaldo have made a name if he was a cab driver? Are you guys with me? And would Two-Face have made it if he had chosen to be a banker? All right. So remember what their school teacher said to them, Sylvester Stallone, and of course, Thomas Edison. Please, if you don't know, go and read about these two guys. As they were growing up, they had challenges, learning and also coping like every other, child. But the fact was that they didn't allow the voices of other people to determine the direction of their life. So you must ask yourself, what are you saying to yourself, even in spite of the noises of what other people are saying about you? It's very important. And of course, do you know this man? Yeah. So how do you think he would have failed in a calculus exam? Aha. Because of the way, he was created, kind of. So now, I'm going to make some statement that also connect with what Lara said earlier on about, she talks about skills for the future. But I'm going to share with you also from World Economic Forum platform, all right, the job for the future. Because we can't be talking about building a successful or progressive career without having an understanding of the direction of the job market, all right? So help me. My career has become extinct. And the reason is because accelerated technology, job automation, globalization would continue to make some jobs to evolve, while some will go into what? Extinction. So ladies and gentlemen, this is just a laundry list of jobs that are the top 10 fastest job growing, all right, fastest growing jobs rather, and of course, top 10 fastest declining jobs. So don't mistake jobs for skills. Skills are different, all right? Jobs are, they are already defined set of tasks that must be performed consistently in an organization to support the goals and the objectives of that business. But skills are the set of attributes, knowledge, whether technical and soft, that you need to be able to perform those tasks. All right? So those things are changing right now. And I'm not going to run through them, but you see that majority of the jobs now don't not skills. That's why I'm emphasizing that. When you see jobs that are the fastest growing, they are more in the field of tech. The direction is technology. All right? And it's important that we are aware so that our case will not be like the case of those people that specialized in typewriters several years ago. And when the advent of desktop came, I don't know whether you've seen that video. The person was still working with the mentalities of typewriter. She was typing and just push the desk, the monitor away. You know, you don't blame her because he that is good with an hammer always think everything is what? A nail. So it's important that you shift your mindset. You begin to ask yourself, what's next for me? What do I need to do differently? Or what skills can... Because again, I kept saying to people, you don't need to go to the university today to succeed in today's world. Honestly, you don't need to. You really don't have to. You don't have to. You can you can teach yourself anything you want, especially when you are focused and you're really, dedicated to it. So for me, there is nothing wrong in anybody here, no matter your field. Pick something in the area of digital transformation. All right? Every organization now, any organization that's, how will I put it now? Organizations that are forward-thinking or forward-looking, they have digital transformation projects in the front burner. They are investing in it. They are collaborating with one another to make that thing happen. And if you check the agenda of the government also, they are doing a whole lot in the space of technology, as it were. So I'm going to advise us, as you are planning to really grow your career, you can also think of what other related skills and areas you can begin to consider for yourself. These are just also future of jobs by World Economic Forum. Okay, I'm leaving the slide, so I'm not going through them. Okay, and for those of us that are currently in the IT world, these are the top-rated tech jobs. Okay, and you can go through them. Some of them, for instance, we have gene experts editors. Gene experts editors, which means people that can, they can manipulate genes. All right, they can edit, and that's why you realize that they are combining AI with a lot of things to be able to create novel things these days. I saw a lady they've created a robot, a full-blown human being that can become your companion. All right, and it's been trained such that the person can, attend to all your needs. I leave that to your imagination. Do you understand? So, ladies and gentlemen, these are just some Q&A that I ask myself, because sometimes at some point people get to the point in their career and they are beginning to ask. The first one is that I feel God is calling me to ministry and I sense I should abandon my studies for the mission field. You know my response to that? Go for deliverance first. Because this is what, TJ is doing. He's trying to tell you that, look, you need to be able to develop usable skills, transferable skills, all right, that will make you leaders, that will make you thought leaders, that will make you, people that will be highly sought after in your various sector that you find yourself. And this one said that does coming out of university with a 2-1 increase my chances of landing a good job? Yes. It does. It does. Certainly, I'm being considered for a graduate program as well. Why? You see, the reality is that we know that people that, didn't get either first class or second class, they can perform better. But you still realize that when they are reeling out the requirements, these days they even use tools to sort the CVs that they receive. All right? The chances of you making it will require intervention of, TJ laying hands on you and praying for divine intervention. Because if they've already set it and it's the system that will pick all the things that they will pick, usually this will enhance your chances of. So in other words, there's a place of you studying to really become outstanding in whatever you do. So that's the point I'm trying to make here. And of course, is there a difference between those who schooled overseas and those who attend local universities? Yes. Like the difference between Lagos and London. Why? Okay, so let me still tell you, even now in FCMB, they still do it. They still prefer to get people. But again, because of the borderlessness of the way we work now, you realize that people out there, they are also encroaching into our job markets here. They are in Australia, they are in Canada, they are in UK, somewhere in Europe, and they are being employed here in Nigeria. So why would they prefer them? Because they know that they've been exposed to more sophisticated way of doing things, and as such, it will be an advantage for the organization. So what I'm saying all of this is that now you yourself, you can get on LinkedIn, all right, and begin to do what? Begin to pick, certifications that you know that companies are looking for, all right, in order to make yourself competitive anytime they're looking for people to work. And again, also volunteer to be able to work for organizations outside of Nigeria remotely. You don't have to travel to be able to work with KPMG, or PwC in London or somewhere else, out there. All right. I'm consumed by the zeal of a viable business idea, and like Bill Gates, I feel like quitting school. Should I? Do so if, like Gates, your school too is Harvard. Just on a lighter note. So let's look at some key factors, all right, for building a progressive career. Okay, we must have mentioned one or two in the course of this conversation, but to just articulate it well for us, I think the first place to start is set clear goals. Because clarity is always important. You need clarity before you can apply speed in any direction you are going. And if you don't have that clarity in terms of what do you really want out of life, what do you want out of that job, you are working in an organization like Lara said, okay? She would on her own deliberately move to other departments and find out what they are doing, because she already has an indication that, look, I want to get to HR sometime someday, all right? And he said, so setting clear goals is important, and continuous learning. You can't stop learning. If you stop learning, what it means is that you allow people that are learning to overtake you. Yes, people that are learning will always overtake, because you can never use yesterday's mentality to deal with today's reality. And that is important for anybody that wants to build a progressive career. And developing transferable skills. What are transferable skills? Skills that when you get to work, all right, people can see the impact of what you are doing, and of course, at the same time, you can use it to teach other people and equip them to be able to do something better as well. For instance, if you have Excel skills, for instance, that is a transferable skill, because I can bring you on board and teach you, and whatever you are taught, you can actually use it to improve your own productivity on the job as well. Number 4 is stay technologically competent. Why? Don't say that I'm not a techie person. Everybody must be techie these days. All right? To the extent that banks now, they are not looking at themselves as banks anymore. In fact, they are saying that they are now, fintech, a technology company carrying out banking services. And for me, it is just a fulfillment of a statement made by Bill Gates several years ago. And I think in his book, The Business at the Speed of Thought, it said, I'm paraphrasing by the way, that as long as the earth remaineth, that's my paraphrasing, the utility of banking will always be necessary, will always be required. That is, the essence of banking, the services of banking will always be required. But the big question that we need to answer is if banks will be required. In other words, at some point, we may not need banks anymore. Because today we have a lot of fintechs delivering excellent banking services, and yet they don't have, physical structure, as it were. How many of you in this room have OPay account, Money Point account, PalmPay account? All those guys, they are fintechs, but they are actually competing seriously with banks these days. At the end of the day, what's the essence of a bank? And don't forget also, we also have, some tech companies giving out loans because don't worry about loans. They are giving out loans as well. And they are also doing it more efficiently such that they don't even need to see you. Okay? I don't know how they're doing it. And they also say that the rate of default, okay, is not really as high as what they are experiencing in the traditional, banking system, as it were. So you have to stay what? Technologically competent, okay, and build and maintain a strong professional network. So this is a very quick question. Lara Yeku has changed jobs maybe 5 times. Out of those 5 times, in fact, the latest role, how did she get the job? How did she get the job? WhatsApp, doing what? Professional network groups. Professional networking groups. And that is why you can't do without having that. Sometimes it can become overwhelming, but you have to be more intentional in your choice of where you find yourself. I belong to one that, she is pioneered, all right, and I can tell you the value that you get from that. And I also belong to a couple. So you have to be intentional. Anywhere you want to go into, be deliberate, set your goals, what you want from there. And she told you earlier on, you don't get there and just keep quiet, all right? She knows sometimes when I'm not really whatever. At least if it is just thumbs up, I will make it. Yeah, if it's just thumbs up to acknowledge that somebody took their time to drop something on the platform of which you are a member. Excuse me. You just see and you move on. Come on. Excuse me. Turn to your neighbor and say, stop that habit. So number 6, seek feedback and mentorship. Let me tell you the very simple approach for getting credible feedback that can move you forward. Okay, and I think it might be similar to what I think she was explaining at some point. And this is my feedback template. I call it my money back guarantee template. So if I give you that template now and you use it for the next 30 days, all right, without fail, and nobody calls you to say that something has changed about you, then come back to me. I will give you, how much did they pay to attend this? It's free. Oh, yeah. So there's no money to pay back to you. Honestly, because I always say it in my training that if you use it consistently for 30 days minimum and nobody noticed something and said, something has changed about it, then you have not used it. Why? So this is a template. Are you ready for it? So pick your pen. All right. So, and you have to start with what we have discussed today. Ask yourself, what is that one thing that you need to start doing based on this new information, based on this conversation, based on this training that you have attended today? What is that one thing? Don't write more than one. Most times, and guess what? You can ask your boss in the office, okay, what is that one thing you want me to start doing in order to be, one of your most valuable players? That is feedback. You are looking for feedback. There is no how. I will tell you, okay, I want you to be resuming. I want you to be in the office by 7:30. And you now change, you that you have always been resuming 8:39. You now change to 7:30 and I will not notice. It is not possible. Are you with me? Or somebody said that, no, this template that you have been using for this report, I want you to change it. Take this one. Use this template. And you stop using that, you start using this. There's no how. It will show. So whatever you start doing means that you have not been doing it before. And you want to start that practice. You want to build that habit, as it were. So when you write that down, the next one is, what is that thing that you have to stop doing? It's also stemming from the conversation here. Or based on what your boss is telling you. I also use this for couples. On quarterly basis, call your wife, bae, or whatever you call yourself. What is that thing that you want me to start doing that I haven't been doing? And sometimes you will have grown to a point whereby the person says, nothing new, but I want you to do more of this. Are you with me? I want you to do more of this. You are doing it, but you have to, the intensity needs to increase. Are you with me? Then the fourth part is, what do you need to? That's it now. Do more. Third is do more. Because you are not totally useless. Excuse me. I'm making progress no matter how little already. But I want to make more progress. That's why I'm asking you, what can I start doing? I'm working already anyway. Okay? So you now ask the person, what do you want me to do more? Okay? From what I'm currently doing that would impact the bottom line, or that will impact the team's goal, or that would make me a better person in this organization. And the fourth one is hello. So what do I need to do less? The things that you need to do less, you are currently also in the practice. You are currently also doing them, but like anything, like I always use this example to help you to understand it very quickly. Ladies, when you cook, you need salt in your soup. But imagine that you pour a whole can of salt in your pot of soup. You will have spoiled it, Abi. So there are some behaviors that can become counterproductive when you do them in excess, particularly at the detriment of other important things. Okay? And that's why I always say that never major yourself in other people's minor issues. Never, 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 never. If it is not major to you, why should it not become my headache or priority? So these are the things that you need to do in the organization to help you to, to progressively move towards your goals or your life's ambition, as the case may be. Then embrace change and adaptability. Never say never. Don't say, I am not cut out for this. I'm not built for this. Don't be like those that will say that I'm just here for a short period. I'm going somewhere to happen. Excuse me. If you are going, yes, now show us some sample of what you will do when you get there. You understand? You know that some people say, this is, I'm just, I'm going somewhere to happen. This is just, give me the next one. Particularly those planning to jackpot. Excuse me, guys. If you are planning to jackpot, still, keep your reputation intact before you jackpot. All right? And number 8, build a strong personal brand. You're not following me. I'm not calling them number. I'm just speaking. So number 8, build a strong personal brand. You see, all of us, we are salespeople. We are all salespeople. We are all selling. And the number one product in your portfolio of products that you are selling is you. And most times people will buy into you before they buy from you. So therefore, you must always position your brand. Your brand must be consistently communicated. You must communicate it in a way that anywhere they hear you, they know that, oh, that is Shola. Oh, that is TJ. Okay? And in terms of conduct too, if they say something about you, no, that can't be TJ. All right? That is, you building a personal brand. And I tell you also, your personal brand is important, particularly when you find yourself in all those professional, communities. You have to stand out. Let them know you for something. The new Lara Yeku for something, and the person spotted her and sent. There are several people. I'm sure it was a professional, group for people in the same field with you, HR field, and to have singled her out and said, "Look, apply for this." She must have done something with her personal brand. So your personal brand is how you project and how you position yourself in the hearts and minds of your audience. Are you with me? So number 9, seize opportunities. Everybody sees opportunities. Even in church. For me, I was having a conversation with you and I said that, I'm sorry, with the church we have actually, we are part of the problems that we are experiencing today, particularly with people that we consider talented, all right, and gifted in church. Growing up, I was a member of Boys Brigade. I was a trumpeter, all right, and we did everything we did, with all our passion, with all our zeal and everything. Nobody paid us. Nobody. Nobody. But guess what? All the values that I pick during that period are the things that are, that have set me apart in my work today, in my life, even as a whole today. So I believe that there should be a balance, all right, between when we encourage people to just develop themselves and build their competencies in church and versus when we really want to pay them for a service. Sincerely. All right? Because I know that several years back, I don't even know who started that idea. And I think it stemmed from when we really want to outperform each other in church. And somebody is currently with you, and I want that person to come to me. What can I use to entice the person? I bring them on board. And it has become an industry that even the church cannot control anymore. Are you guys with me? Are you still with me? Particularly guys on this side. Because I know how it can be. But honestly, seize every opportunity to grow. Even Lara will tell you, you can volunteer, to work somewhere without payment, without being paid for it. Oh, yes. I have 2 guys now working with me. They just volunteer to work with me. I just started my own stuff now. One of them connected with me on LinkedIn, and one of the most difficult aspects of my work is what the guy said he wants to do. That is recruitment. So sourcing candidates, and organizing interviews and doing all the report to the client, that is what the guy wants to do for me. But I'm paying him, by the way. Do you understand? But he came to me say, I just want to work to be able to gather these skills. So ladies and gentlemen, let us know when to pick opportunities like that, all right? And I believe life will be good to us at the end of the day. Number 10, use that template that I gave you. Use that template. Yeah, start doing, do more, do less, and stop doing. Okay? So ladies and gentlemen, in terms of what next, I love learning. So I will always recommend at the end of my training, please, you must embrace knowledge with curiosity. We have started this conversation, it shouldn't end here. Go and find courses, relevant programs that can help you to progress better on your career. If it is certification, do them. Then the next thing is that read books. All right? Times that we spent on social media sometimes, some of us will have gotten PhD. Yep. So read books. You have to be intentional. You have to deliberate. And of course, I can't overemphasize the need for you to join professional network and also to have a mentor. Not a mentor, by the way. All right? Have people that can impact your life positively. And in addition to having a mentor, we all need a coach. We need coaches in different aspects of life. Because you have a coach as a pastor, and he can tell you clearly that life is not one-dimensional. Life is about 12-dimensional. And all the dimensions of life you need to develop yourself. You don't develop one at the detriment of the other. That's what will enable you to have what we call a balanced life at the end of the day. And lastly, develop an action plan for building a thriving career. Go online. There are a lot of, free, self-assessment tools online, just to have an idea of your strengths, like we said earlier on, and have an idea of your loopholes, okay? Then set clear goals, identify learning opportunities, develop learning strategies. I love the fact that Lara emphasized strategy, and you can't really get the best out of life without strategy. Why? Because the definition of strategy from my own point is simply, your ability to evaluate alternative sources of action and picking which one is the best for you. That's where I look at. But if you don't evaluate, you won't know which one is the best. Okay? And you will just do something and you're not getting the kind of value or the kind of result that you want from it. And the last is that practice regular evaluation and reflection, which has to also do with ask yourself, what next? How far have you gone? Now we are in second half of the year. How many of you in this room really have revisited your New Year resolution? Because at the basic minimum, I know that we always, Christendom, we have that New Year resolution. So it's important, all right? Be accountable to yourself. So closing charge. For me, I see career as a canvas, all right? So you have to paint it boldly, with passion, with purpose, and with unwavering determination. And also the world awaits the brilliance that you have to offer. And of course, you can go forth from this moment and leave your indelible mark upon it. So ladies and gentlemen, final word. In everything you do, aligning with what Lara said, put God first. Please turn to somebody, say, put God first. And God will direct you and crown your efforts with success. Thank you very much. God bless you.
I'm sure we can do better than that. That was about 30 years put together in 1 hour. I'm just even hearing for the first time that you did library. Yeah. You know, when the Bible says all things work together for good, sometimes we discount certain parts of our life. And maybe when I'm doing my own session, I will mention a few things, because the jigsaw puzzle sometimes is not usually favorable for you. You know, you just find God has a way of allowing providence to override our confidence. You know, and once you are conscious that there is a God factor, it just gives you that leverage that you need going forward. I'll bring back Lara to come and talk about her book, but also while you come, you are hands-on HR. Playing with ChatGTP recently has been, I mean, it's almost looking like one day I hope that we will not just speak to a robot that will stand behind the pulpit and will just be preaching. No. I mean, I like to think future. So, with you doing hands-on HR, I want Shola also to speak a bit about it. As much as we want to this is where I put it, have a tech flavor in your CV. All right? What's the place of AI in the next 5-10 years? Lara, please come talk about your book, then you could also answer. Can we put hands together for Lara?
Wow. Shana, that was powerful. Thank God they asked me to come first before your session. Okay, so what's the place of AI and how it impacts the future? And the reality, it is going to change a lot of things. A lot of the how we do things. Chat GBT, somebody call it Chat GBT. Chat GBT. You know, first and foremost for me, I think it's just, it brings to light for me the power of intelligence in man. Because AI is created by human, and that's the honest truth. It brings to life the fact that what we can do, we can't even imagine. The potential and the power that we have as beings, that's number one. So from that place, I'm not afraid of what AI can do. It just shows the magnitude of the disruption and the power of the human imagination. Now, when it comes to career, it's really going to shift. It's shifting, it's changing, it's impacting, it's disrupting. It's going to do a lot in the place of the future of work. However, but there's still the need for the human element. There's still the need for AI responds to a command. There is still the need for us to impute and insert that command for it to work on. So there's still that human element. That's the power of it. And if you also study the World Economic Forum skills of the future, it enhances technology, but at the same time, it also enhances the need for soft skills, the emotional intelligence skills, the resilient skills. So there's still that element of human that AI still needs, which is why the world is also driving more now around experience, design thinking, human-centered experience. So AI will still need humans. However, there's also a need for us to understand that the skills now is get towards cognitive learning, understanding how the brain, the mind works, and how we can use that layered on AI to enhance human behavior and interaction, and how we can get the best out of it. I don't know if Shola has anything to add to that.
I align, essentially with everything that you have said. And, there are some things you can't fight it. I belong to the school of thought that will say that what will come will come. It is who you will become when that thing comes that is important. So it's important that you yourself, based on what she said now, you need to begin to develop your what makes you you. What makes you you? What makes you unique? As simple as it may sound, some of us, I struggle to smile. Yeah, but when I realized that it's important for the kind of work I do now, I had to learn. And that is something that you can find in the domain of soft skills. In customer service, you can't excel, you can't succeed, you can't go far without knowing how to smile. All right, and to be empathetic towards people, how to be empathic, as it were. So basically what we need to all recognize as we see the world evolve, all right, and more disruption through AI, is for every one of us to become more human in the workplace. Become more human when you're at the negotiation table. Become more human wherever you find yourself. Because at the end of the day, what robots can't do is to interpret feelings. Yes, they are teaching some of them to interpret feelings, but it still cannot be, all right, like the way we human beings would do it. And that is one thing that will always keep us above, robots, AI, blockchain, artificial, whatever it is, all this virtual reality and all of that. That's what will really keep us ahead of it. So you're right to begin to draw people's attention to it. Yes, it's going to continue to disrupt, and it's going to become more and more intense as we go ahead. But what will also help us is draw to yourself, draw strength from who you are, and make sure that you communicate that as much as possible in your workplace. That's what I can add to that.
Thank you. So just talk briefly about my book. I'll share my story. People that know me know that I share a lot of stories, because I'm a believer that in our stories there are lessons and principles to impact lives. Growing up in my career, I wanted mentorship. But way back in those days, there was no LinkedIn, there was no GSM and all the likes. I realized that I always had to go to the offices of my mentors then, to sort of, schedule meeting appointments with them, and then, hold sessions with them. I recall that then when I go to their offices for meetings, for mentorship meetings, I would have to wait hours in a lobby. And eventually when they have some time for me, they're only able to give me maybe 10, 15 minutes or 30 minutes and the max. And the next thing is, I have another meeting. They rush back to their meeting. So I yearned for mentorship. Unfortunately, I couldn't access a lot of the people I wanted to mentor me, number one, and two, they couldn't give me the required time. So it was quite difficult growing in my career. And then I grew into senior leadership role in my career, and young people started coming to me as well for mentorship. As much as I love to give out time to mentor, I realized that I was also struggling with giving them sufficient time. And the circle of not being able to give sufficient time for mentoring happened again, and I said to myself, something has to be done differently. As much as I would love to be able to give time to people, I couldn't. And I spoke to a couple of my friends and my friends in the HR profession as well. They were also having the same issue. And being the innovative and creative mind that I have, I said something has to be done differently. There was a particular time when a young lady came to me and wanted mentorship session with me. I scheduled some time because I was out of a job at that time. And, I shared my story and she was so excited. She felt so relieved and said to me, "Ma, your story is really powerful. You should actually write a book." I said, "Wow, okay." So I reached out to a couple of other HR professionals who are also interested in mentoring, but also don't have time. And I realized I got positive response. And lo and behold, while I was out of a job in 2020, shortly before 2019, before COVID, I had enough time to put together the stories of 56 HR professionals, spanning from HR professionals who are out of a job to HR professionals who have about 30 plus years in HR, and their stories are all created in this book. So what does this book offer you? It offers you access to people's real life career story. And every career story highlights the principles that they have learned, encountered in their career. It also highlights their lows and their up moments, high moments. So you're not just going to be reading stories of people who has had it all rosy in their career, but rather different stories of people in different dimension and different phases of their career. And I've had tremendous testimonies of people who have reached back to me to say, "Oh, Coach Lara, somebody's stories actually ministers to me in your book." And I'm really grateful and blessed by this book. When I was coming this morning, I said to myself, it's also an opportunity to introduce the book to the audience. And this is a powerful book. Who doesn't like reading stories? So trust me, this is not PowerPoint or 10 skills to this. No, it's just stories of people, Nigerians like yourself, in their career, highlighting principles that you would enjoy and that you will learn from. The book is just 2.5, right? And if you're interested, I have a couple of copies here today. I believe if you pick a copy, your life will be transformed. Like Shola said, take action. So that action is get a copy of my HR storybook and read books. Yeah, exactly. So you would love it. It's just reading stories that inspires and just gives you principles of success, at your palm as you pick up a copy of the book today. Thank you so much. Yeah.
All right, thank you very much, man. Okay, so we've had two powerful sessions this afternoon, and before we go into the next session, we just want to relax a bit. Let's just have a game time. Let's just have the time to relax and just unwind a bit. All right, so we are going to be doing a puzzle game. Please just share. Just have 3 people in a team. Just pick yourself. Please quickly distribute that. Let's quickly have that in the next 5-10 minutes. One here. Okay. Yes. Thank you. All right. So you can just form a clusters of 3. Yes, 3 to a sheet. So when I say start, we'll just start. I'll time us so that we can see who is going to be. Okay. Have we all gotten the sheets? Please, some people should come here. Just help distribute to this side. Mary, just give some people to help you here. Okay, let's not start yet. Let's just... Okay, have we all gotten? Some people don't start. Calm down. Calm down. Let's be sure that everyone has gotten it. Okay. Do we all have a team now? Okay, okay. I believe we have sorted that now. Okay, let's start now. Let's start. Let's see who comes first. Which team comes first? We have about 16 words to be searched. About 16 of them, timing us. Let's see if we can do this in 3-4 minutes. Friendly, resume, good attitude. That cannot be the answer, you know. I'm just telling you the words. Task oriented, trustworthy, team player, training, hard worker, honest, skills, quality, diligent, references, production, education, any team that's gotten like 10 words? By faith. We've done 3 minutes already. 2. You're done. 16. Ooh. Okay, which other team has done like 10 words? You've done 12. 12. Okay. Okay. 1 more minute and then we'll stop. So only one team have done all the 16 words. Awesome. Brilliant. You said? How much? So we have two teams that have done all the words now. Okay, should I wait for one more? Okay. You use the AI. You two are done. So I have three teams now. Three teams have done. You're done too. Okay. That's 4. Should I wait for one more to make it 5 teams? Yeah. All right. Fantastic. Yeah. All right. I think time is up now. We've had like 5 teams finished all the words. Yes, puzzle can be very engaging. I think the most obvious word there is what? Task oriented. Just opening, looking at this sheet, the first word you should see is because it's the first letter and it shows the first word. Just looking at this, task oriented. That should be the first. That's the first, right? Diligence was your own first. Wow. You are really diligent. All right, so quickly. Yes, fantastic. So if you look at these, they are words that are very useful in our workplaces, in our careers. And I just want us to discuss one or two of them. I'll ask for the meaning of any one of them then. One or two persons can talk about it. We have friendly, we have resuming, but I pick task-oriented. What do you understand by task-oriented? Anyone that wants to go for that? Task-oriented. Should I call names? Should I call names? Task-oriented. You want to say something? Okay. Please. Abiola wants to say something. I think there should be a mic there. Someone should pass a mic to him. There's a mic on your table, please. Task-oriented.
So a task-oriented person is someone that understands the job, someone that knows what to do.
Someone that knows the job. Okay. Anybody with a different opinion? Task-oriented. Knows the job.
Someone that's focused on you do a task per time, so you have this whole job and then you take it and you break it down into different steps and you take it one after the other.
Yeah, focus on those tasks. Thank you so much. Who is a hard worker? Yes, hard worker. Who is a hard worker? Okay.
It's just simple. Hard worker is somebody who takes an extra mile to do something to achieve a goal.
Yeah.
To me, a hard worker is someone who put extra time in his work. That is very dedicated and committed to the work.
Extra time in his work.
Because at times in a workplace, there are some ethics of work. People who don't mind leaving the job because it's not their business. You know, someone else will stay back to do extra time even when it's not paid for. So that person is...
Okay, so those people that put extra time, we can regard them as hard workers. Really? You know, some people can stay extra time and be doing nothing, and they will not be productive, not being paid. So people can put in extra time and not be productive. Okay, as I go, diligence. If you say someone is diligent, what does it mean? Diligent. Seest a man. that is diligent. I'm bringing scriptures to it. What does it?
A consistent, yes, we are listening. Okay, all right. Good evening, professionals. Yeah, we're excited. How is it coming along? I'm sure my head is full. I've learned so much. I've written some things I want to do. When he talked about the fact that I can volunteer remotely for jobs abroad, I never thought about it in that way. So I'm writing a list of jobs that I want to volunteer with. Who knows? Maybe if I want to jackpot sometime and I apply, it will be part of my resume that I actually worked for this kind of organization, even for that. Okay, so for those that are here, I'm sure if you have registered, if you've written your name on the sheet today, can I see your hands? If you've written your name on the registration sheet today. Okay, so Koinsola, please look at those that have not written their names on the sheet. Mary, please can you pass the papers around so that we can have details of everyone that has come into this meeting today. Can we celebrate Miss Lara Yeku and Mr. Shola Oyegbade? Can we do it better? All right. Now I'm going to bring up somebody. Hey, say hey. Oh my goodness. All right, so it's going to be our last speaker for today, and his name is Coach Tunji Babajide. He said I should not read his profile, if you just come up. Coach Babajide, let us read your profile now.
All right, so I want to say a big thank you to my dear friends who have come to share from their wealth of knowledge. I have to bring what I have learned from them up here so it can be a reference point. Can we put that together for Lara and Shola? So I'm very big on asking questions because I believe that there are issues that perhaps thank you. There are issues that people have in their career, and there hasn't been something tailored towards the solution. So I will try and cut short what I want to say so that we can have Lara and Shola answer questions. I'm very particular about office politics. I sit on the counseling table, and I find that a lot of people are victims of office politics. One too many. So beyond what you're also going to learn today before I go into my session, please make sure that you network and meet people you haven't met before. You see, that's one of the things I found out sometimes. The reason for this gathering might not be what you came to learn. It might be that your sister will marry somebody's brother. I'm sure I'm as funny as that is, that's the way the world is. Hello, can I get a witness? It might be that someone's next job is in the hand of somebody's brother who is an HR somewhere. So if you come here and you did not network, you are doing yourself a lot of, very shortening yourself. I mean, I have Redwan here from a very dear protege of mine from PwC. Can we put his hands together for him? I have Aisha here. We have always spoken on phone. I'm meeting her for the first time. All right, she came from Fagba, right? She came from Fagba. Can we put hands together for her? Those of you who the information is in your nose, please make sure you do something about it. So I will, before I share a few bullet points about office politics, I also want to write on the things that Shola said. So a few things that I have been able to do, I must say to you that the roles that came out of those work were not readily available when I showed interest. Let me give you examples. So a dear friend of mine used to live in our house. He was the branch manager for Standard Alliance Insurance. So he was living in Ibadan, but he will come to our house on Mondays and leave on Friday. Around that time, they were recruiting marketers. Haulage was a major thing that he used to do in Standard Alliance then, before, there became a lot of racketeering and all of that. Guess what? He said, TJ, can you do some marketing so that, you can have extra income? So sometimes we drive to Abeokuta together. We used to use that Songwater Road, So I became a part of the Standard Alliance team. And guess what? One of my wife's best friend, who ran an haulage company in Shagamu, they needed to insure their trailers. Guess what? I was the bridge between that organization and that particular oil and gas company. And I made money. Now, what am I saying? Sometimes the reason why you get a job might not even necessarily be money. It might be that God gave you a job for new relationships. Okay? I was saying to someone in the office this afternoon, I said, the way God plans it sometimes is, God will give you a job, but sometimes it will give you a job so that you can begin to focus on your work. They can sack you on your job, but nobody can sack you on your work. Right? And sometimes, just like what Shola said, when the desirable is not available, the available becomes desirable. Some of you are too proud to progress. Let me give you another classic. So when I finished OLCA in 2009, we were the first set with Mr. Larry, I wanted to intern. I've always believed in the philosophy of interning because the nucleus family that we had, one day my cousin totally shattered my ceiling. She wanted to learn how to sew clothes. So she came to the house and told my father, she said she was going to Lagos Island to learn how to sew. So, I was like, maybe you just buy clothes and be selling. Then she explained that every trade has its trade secret. And that stuck with me. So when I moved into Lagos, I wanted to begin to, train after I finished the coaching certification. But there was no opportunity. I wanted to listen. There's so much movement. Can we please stop the movement? There's so much opportunity. There was no opportunity for me to give expression to what I've learned. Then one of the junior staffs in OLCA, then Pelumi particularly said, oh, we're looking for an executive assistant. I was my pastor's executive assistant in Ibadan. So I felt, how will I be doing what I did 10 years ago, 10 years after? It looked like a demotion. But guess what? That was my ticket to becoming a faculty member in OLCA. Because you see, some of you think that God will always give you the access to the job that you want. No. Sometimes God wants you to get a job you don't like so that you can be paid to learn a new skill. Did that sink? Yeah. So I became, and because I had a very strong ability to organize, some people in the house used to call me a wonderful events manager. So when I came around Mr. Larry, then I saw a lot of disorder. So I put, Excel sheets where we could manage how many meetings they had, income, blah, 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 blah. By the time I'd worked for just 6 months, the faculty members of OLCA then were leaving. Guess who they needed to be on board? The person who was doing a lower job. So sometimes you need to be humble enough to accept a role less than what you think you qualify for as a ladder to what you ultimately qualify for. Am I making sense? Because sometimes your job is not to give you money. Your job is to give you a relationship. Because when I got there, up till today, I look back into many consulting works I've done. They were the relationships I met at OLCA that had blessed me. My first major breakthrough in consulting was we did core value intervention program for a particular bank. The money I made, I never made that money before. Where did I meet Bankole? OLCA. Then Steve Harris called me for another project with a multinational. And I made money from that. Where did I meet Steve? OLCA. Now, what I was being paid in OLCA was not commensurate to the value, but that was not a deterrent to the value I brought on the table. Because there's somebody watching you consistently who can give you a job eventually. So all of this, like what Shola said, I will be doing it when one day, when I have opportunity, I will do it. Well, no. Whatever thy hand findeth to do, do it with all of your mind. Do it well. Do it well. Because you see, every job is to refine you for your work. So when you are doing a job, it might be lower than your degree, lower than your experience, but it might be a funnel to what you ultimately desire to do. Are we together this afternoon? So please let's get that right. Don't always look for a job. Always look for how you can bring value that solves problem for the organization. You know, there are two different people in the marketplace. People who are looking for job and people who are willing to solve problems. Maybe I should add a third. People who are going to go and cause problem. So I always say this. Get a job. It might not be what you like, but it might be an opportunity for you to get paid to learn something and learn how to relate to people. That's always what I found out. Having said that, because I promised to keep it very short and simple, so because I've had several people speak to me about office politics, I've sat down to be able to break it into. I would also want us, Shola and Lara, to bring hands-on experience, because for Shola, who was at that particular level, I'm sure you had to deal with a lot of politics, plenty politics. And you see, like they say, if you are not on the table, where will you be? You will be in the menu. There are several people who have become menu list for, top management officials because they just didn't know how to handle certain things. So when you think of office politics, it's all about backstabbing, spreading malicious rumors, sucking up to the right people. So there are tendencies for you, if you're not careful, to be a victim of office politics. And I always say this, there is good politics and there is bad politics. Because you see, if you work in a place where only one person is always thinking and they're taking it, you are in the wrong organization. It shows that only is a monotonous organization. However, in an organization that is healthy, where the management, they've been able to deal with their steam, they will take in feeds from here and there. And sometimes it doesn't go their way. And if you're not careful, you become the lab rats that they will use for the menu at their next staff meeting. So I've seen several people who are so ignorant and they have just become victims. So I wrote this, I said, office politics arise when these differences of personality and opinion become difficult to manage. So the ED has an opinion, another ED has another opinion, his cousin is the one working under a project. All of those things will be there. But one thing I found out is that we often care deeply about the decisions that we make or they made on our behalf, but we don't always care about how we are able to either play good politics or be a part of the bad politics. 7 survivors tips for office politics. Like I said, the foundation for making politics work for you is a positive way. And the positive way is to accept that it is a reality. Some people are still in denial that there's no office politics in our office. I mean, years ago, the coordinator of the Triumphant Professional, she was a victim of one. Because I used to tell her, this thing, in the office, in the workplace, 1 + 1 is not always 2. She will carry her Christian mind and she will very sincerely wrong, And there are a lot of people who are like that. Because sometimes you need to be able to see things outside of the lens of your church or your mosque. Because the more you see, the more you look, the less you see. All right, so I believe that everyone who would have the right career, they need to develop strategies to recognize, 1, understand political behavior, and to build a strong and supportive network while the battle is on. Number 1, you have to be aware of your organizational chart. Office politics often circumvent the formal organizational structure. Lara, am I right? It usually circumvents it. And you see, when you sit back and observe for a while, then you will be able to map out who are the key players. Do you know that some HODs are not as powerful as some individuals? When I started leadership, I remember my pastor then used to say to me, he said, when they say you are the HOD, are you really the HOD? Some people don't have title, but you know how to know hidden leaders in your group. When we say, okay, we're going to have strategy meeting in a hotel and suits. Then one person said, I think we should do Ekpe Resort. Then they say, Ekpe Resort, and that's your leader. Right there. Right there, your leader just showed up. So you need to first be aware. Because to do this, you need to ask questions like, who are really the influencers in this organization? That's the first question you need to ask. Okay? Who are the champions? Who are the mentors of others? Who is the brain behind the business? You know, because sometimes it's not all heads of department that are the brain behind the business. There's a brain behind the brain. You are just picking the front brain, but there's another brain behind that brain. So firstly, be aware. Number two, understand informal network. Once you know where the power and the influence lie, it's time to examine people's interactions and relationships to understand the informal and the social networks. I always like to use this story of the Ark of Noah. I say to people that when you get a new job or you get into a new environment, just see yourself like Noah. And you see, Noah had a task. He needed to keep the ark going, but beyond that, he needed to manage the different personality. Because in your place of work, you will find snail, you will find snake, you will find scorpion, you will find monkey, you will find giraffe. Someone that will go and steal something in a department and say, this is my idea. But if you can't identify them, you will confide in people you should run away from. Right? So understand the informal network. I don't have time to break it all down. Number three, build connections. Don't be alone. Don't be a standalone. Because now that you know how existing relationships work, you can start to build your own social network. Look beyond your immediate team. Like Lara said, cross the formal hierarchy in all directions. Have relationship with managers, executive, co-workers. Don't be afraid of politically powerful people. Instead, get to know them and build high quality connection. And that will take me back to some of you who are ghosts participators on WhatsApp group. Now I always say to them, people that listen, that I think I'm about 65 WhatsApp groups, and it's of benefit to not just only me but also the people around me. I did something for Access Bank Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Where did I find it? On a WhatsApp group where they dropped, do we have anybody who can do sales on emotional intelligence? Let me tell you another thing that happened. One day I went on Instablog. It was something about relationship. It took me 2 hours. I crafted a powerful response. I had 200 likes. I had about 40-something responses. You know when you put response under a chat? That day, over 40-something people followed me. Some of you are just going to be liking things around. And you say you are active on social media. You are not active. How to be active on social media is go to, conversations around your industry. Sit down like someone doing an exam. Think outside the box. Drop something there. Let it resonate. People have followed my comment on blogs to say, can I meet you? You are just spending 5,000 every month on data. No, you say, don't say you are active on social media. Oh. And some of you are single. Your account is private. Don't worry, your father's brother will come and marry you. Even Dangote is not private with all the money he has. So I'm always wondering. Thank you, Shola. It's not private. So you are not, don't say, if I can't see your sensible comment on social media, you are not active. You are just a viewer. And some people will tell you what is happening everywhere, but they can't put anything reasonable that they have dropped on social media. You are not active. Build connections. Go to LinkedIn. You can't be looking for a job and you don't have a LinkedIn page. That's one of the shock I found in the last 1 month. A couple of people just finished NYSC, and I said, give me your LinkedIn account. Let me even check you. I said, I've not done it. They are following you. You better unfollow them. So be friendly with everyone, but avoid aligning yourself too closely with one group or the other. And if you're considering a personal relationship at work, be certain to base it on consent to avoid any suggestion of illegal or inappropriate influence. Number 4, develop your people skills. You see, as we have seen, politics are all about people. Strong personal skills will stand you in the workplace. The ability not to hold animosity against someone. Some people believe that my enemy should be your enemy. Never get into that place where Lara is fighting with Shola, so you're not saying because Shola is from Ijebu, I'm also from Ijebu Ode. We will find Ijebu and Ijegba. You will miss out. Develop people's skills. Reflect on your emotions. What prompts them? How you handle them. avoid not to let your secret out of the bag to everyone. There's some people, whether you like it or not, they're like the scorpion behind the tortoise that wanted to cross the river. Whether you like it or not, the tortoise will stink. So if you don't know and you confide in it, in a scorpion, they will sting you and you will say, men has come. Number 5, make the most of your network. Through your relationships, you can build your personal brand and raise your team profile. I always say that there are 4 ways you need to be intentional about growing your brand. So if you're an accountant, let your friends and family know you're an accountant. The first bar. The second bar, let your department know that you're an exceptional accountant. The third bar, let the organization that you're in, let them know in audit, let them know in HR that you stand out as an accountant. Then let there be industry, value. Let people know that, beyond the fact that you work for GT Bank, they know that you're an accountant that can fit into an FCMG or that can fit into a multinational. Those are the 4 things that is required if you're going to build a very good network. Number 6, be brave but don't be naive. I've seen many people who are brave but also very naive. Like one of my mentors will say, sincerity is not a factor of production, because you can be sincerely foolish and you can be sincerely naive and you can be sincerely unguarded. So be brave, because your first instinct may be to keep distance, from people who practice bad politics. In fact, the opposite can be more effective. Expression. This is what I always like to say. Keep your friends close, keep your enemies closer. Can I say that again? Keep your friends close, but keep your enemies closer. So get to know the gossipers, the manipulators. Be courteous but guarded. And by doing that, you will be able to avoid you self-sabotaging yourself. And finally, neutralize negative politics. You can help to make a workplace become more positive by not fueling the fire and joining in negative politics. For example, avoid passing on rumors without taking time to carefully consider their source, their credibility, and their impact. Finally, I need you to remain professional at all times. Don't take sides or get sucked into arguments or recriminations. When a conflict arises, remember there doesn't have to be a winner or a loser. It's often possible to find a solution that satisfies everyone. I hope that was a blessing to you. Thank you. All right. I want us to ask questions. So, we're meant to do 1 to 4, but I want to crave your indulgence to switch it a little above 4. So let's get mics. Shola, your thoughts on office politics, and would you be kind enough to share practical experiences? Also, I will call Lara to share how did you manage office politics, at that level. I know you guys are top management, and they say that the higher you go, the colder it becomes. That's only in geography. In career, the higher you go, the hotter it becomes. Okay, let's welcome, who comes first, Shola or Lara? Who comes first? Okay, please welcome Shola as he shares with us. Is office politics a thing to discuss? Yes. Okay.
Yeah, it is. And I will put it this way. How many of us like swimming here? How many of us knows how to swim here? You know how to swim. Do you all agree that there is protocol to swimming? So when you dive into the swimming pool, there's a way you must move your body. Your movement must align in a particular way. So the same way I'm going to say about office politics. Office politics, there's a protocol to, navigating through it, leveraging it, and using it in a very positive way, just like you said. Because like in swimming, if you can't dive into the water and say that you want to swim on your own terms, if you swim on your own terms, you will drown on your own terms. Are you with me? So, if there is a protocol for swimming, I can tell you there's also protocol for office politics. And you can't deny it. You just have to learn how to leverage it and use it to your own advantage. So in practical sense, I think I've just been privileged and blessed to have, witnessed series of reforms in the banking sector. And at every given point in time, we always have the time that organization want to, restructure and probably resize, like they said. And that is the period that you will see, office politics really at play. And there was a particular incident in precisely 2012. A friend of mine, can I sit down now? Okay. So a friend of mine, not even a friend, a colleague of mine, we were both on the performance management unit. This guy was good, and I consider myself also equally good. But interestingly, this other guy, given his own nature, all right, it's always everywhere. It's always everywhere, more visible than me in some sense and all of that. And I heard that very soon they've already given the department quotas of people that you must ask to go. And when I heard, I said, okay, this guy was on the same level as I was. So we're like, let me put a deputy manager. He was the deputy manager. I was a deputy manager also. And they've given the head of the department the mandate to let at least one deputy manager out of the organization. So what do I do in terms of people knowing you in the organization? So one thing you must work at intentionally in your organization is your visibility. Because no matter how good you are, if you are not visible in the right places, if you are not visible to the right people, it's just like the statement they make in advertisement. If you are not, advertising your product, it's like you winking in the dark. And you need people to be able to speak for you when you are not in the room. So what happened eventually was that I had to walk up to one person, one of the executive director, deliberately and intentionally. And I said, I want you to be my mentor. At that period, because I know that this guy was good. I was equally good. But in terms of length of stay on the job, have a longer length of stay. But I realized that I can't leave this thing to chance. I needed to do something. And I also didn't want to appear desperate. I also didn't want it to come like, oh, it is because you are aware that something is already going on and all of that. So I now went to this person who was an executive director. The first time that I walked up to somebody within my organization to be my mentor was that period. And he was favorably disposed to it. We started conversation. I shared my career journey with him, deliberately, more or less trying to let him see, this is what I've done. These are my competencies and all of that. And in the process, he said, oh, really? So you've done this? Apparently, incidentally, at that time, he's been privy to some other conversation, which was like going to be in favor of the other guy. All right? He just nodded and all of that, and that was it. I didn't hear anything again. But guess what? When the result will come out, who's to let go, it was this other guy. It was very painful for me because I know that somehow somebody needs to go. And I was also a bit happy. Now, this is the Christian part of it. As I was happy that, oh, thank God, finally I wasn't the person. Sincerely, I'm saying this is an altar, Abi. The Holy Spirit cautioned me. And he said, don't rejoice. I'm telling you the truth. This conversation, even people that are closer to me have shared it at different points in time. He said, don't rejoice that you are left behind. All right? And don't think it's because you are relevant. That's why I left you behind. He said, the reason why you escaped this is because this organization is still relevant in my agenda for your life. He said, the moment this organization ceases to be relevant in my agenda for you, I will move you. It doesn't matter what is going on. And that kept me humble. So, wow, okay. It's not even so much about, but again, something will lead to something. So I recognize I was able to read the environment. I don't know whether you mentioned something about being, aware of your environment. When you are aware of the environment, then you need to know how to play your card, how to play your game. But please, never, ever, ever go out there to want to play your card in order to undermine somebody or to sabotage somebody else. All you need to do is to focus on you, all right, and sell you, all right, in the best way possible, such that people that needs to reward you, all right, will know how much value you carry. And when the reward comes, it will almost be commensurate to the value that you carry. So for me, that is just one. But the second one was also similar to it in the office. Always remember to play office politics, whoever is your boss, you have to ensure that you make your boss look good at all time. Why? I believe this. They say obey CI. What is CI? The commander's intent. All right, the commander's intent. So the intent of the commander, who is the boss? All right, your number one customer, all right, within your organization is your boss. Everything you do. I don't believe in the school of thought of, some people complain a lot that I did that work, fantastic job, and my boss just, raised my name and he sent it without putting my name there. So what? Can you relate with that? Yeah. For me, I see it that your job was good enough for the boss to remove your signature and put his or her own signature and send it forward. That is why you are there. You are supposed to make that person look good. Anytime you do that, honestly, trust me, your boss will always have your back anywhere, any day. Now, this is it. The final story which I'm going to say, before I became the head of the Academy of FCMB, I found myself in a similar scenario that I found myself in 2012. And this time around, I was not even in the organization. I wasn't even in the office. I was on leave. And one of my subordinates called me and said, this is what they are about to do. They've asked them to, to let off one of us. And on that basis, guess what? I had to quickly cut my leave short. Came back to the office, at least let me even be aware of what is going on in case there will be meetings and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, I noticed that there was nothing anybody can do about it. The decision has been taken already. And they asked two of us to leave. But guess what? Another ED in the organization, they've not given us letter, but we're just hearing the rumor that they've asked that is the two of you that must leave. I just heard that one of the executive directors, sent a mail and said that, in my opinion, it was later was my boss that forwarded all the mail trade to me. He said, in my opinion, even if we're going to let go 25% of the workforce in this organization, I don't think this person should be part of it. How did it happen? Simply by always ensuring that you are able to support beyond your own area of jurisdiction, as it were. And this is what I'm going to say. If you're going to play well in office politics, somebody talk about going the extra mile. You have to be somebody that is consistently going the extra mile. Consistently, deliberately, and intentionally always go the extra mile. Why? Because when you go the extra mile, trust me, someday, you will hand yourself the extra mark. Sometimes, someday, it's going to work for you. So for me, make sure that you office politics for me is for you to just keep looking after yourself. Look out for yourself in the best place possible, in the best way possible, all right? And don't undermine any other person, because by doing so, you'll become, how will I put it now? It's just not going to work well for you, because later on when you have found out, it's always going to work against you. So for me, those are, maybe relevant ones that I can share with you for this time.
Let Larasha opinion, then we hand over to the anchor for the questions.
Okay. Thanks, Shola, for that very deep, insightful response that you gave. You've also sort of recapped everything that I want to say. just to add to what Shola said, I mean, my story is also very similar to your story, but I just want to call out a few points in terms of, so how do you go seeking that mentor or that person that you want to be your sponsor? So it's the how.
That's another powerful word, because sometimes you get to a level you need more than a mentor.
Yeah.
You now need sponsors.
A sponsor, yes.
A sponsor that will go out of their way. They will just be fighting your battle behind you. So I think that's a powerful one.
So because sponsorship is also important in office politics, there would always be conversations behind closed doors. Where you are not there, somebody is talking about you, whether you like it or not. Be a good person, be a bad person, somebody somewhere is talking about you. First is you have to be intentional with how you position yourself. Early days of my career, I'd always gotten promotion based on performance. Then I got to the mid-level of my career when I was due to become a manager. First year, they didn't give me promotion. I had good score, good rating, outstanding, no promotion. Second year, no promotion. I was so upset. Then I summed up the courage to have a conversation with my line manager. And he said, hey, you're good at your job, but you're just not ready. I said, what does it mean to be ready? Do I have to be ready? I'm doing the job, I'm delivering. You're just not ready. Okay. So I asked, that became very intentional to understand, what do I need to do to be ready? First and foremost, I realized that I was only depending on my line manager's recommendation for promotion. So it was, I'm doing the job well. She's cutting off my email. She's putting hers and she's sending it. That's sufficient. That was the first mistake I made. I realized that for me to get to the next level, I cannot just count only on my line manager's recommendation. I need to get a sponsor within the organization that can speak for me behind closed doors as being visible. So, one, I worked on my visibility. I mean, before then, I'll be in meetings. I know what I need to do. I'll just be listening in meetings and taking notes. I don't contribute. So a lot of us sit in meetings. You stay in meetings and you just listen and you're shy. You don't want your question to sound stupid. You don't say anything. And the meeting goes on for hours. You are here, me too. I was like that. You see. Don't worry, today is the day of liberation. You know, and then you don't say anything, and after the meeting, I'm like, I should have asked that, I should have said that, but you are shy. You don't want people to turn you down. You don't want to come across. My first learning was, if I'm in meetings, they must hear my voice. Even if to re-echo what somebody has said, so they can know that voice. I started to do that deliberately. And then people started looking out for, that girl, that HR. Okay. And the names started ringing, Lara, and all of that. So number one, be deliberate. When you're in meetings, intentionally make comments. Prepare ahead of those meetings. For some of us that attend departmental meetings, prepare ahead so that you're very intentional in your contribution and you make it valuable to the team. That's where people begin to notice you. Town hall meetings. Some of us don't talk at town hall meetings, or we don't ask questions because we are shy. You know, that's a good place to put out your visibility in town hall meetings. Make suggestions. Even if they should take it, they shouldn't take it. But be visible, you know. And that's how you begin to position yourself to identify a sponsor. So by the time you go and meet someone, you know, they already know you. You're not a total stranger to them. So that's what I did. I realized I needed someone who was a female partner, a level higher than my line manager's level. So that when they're having that conversations within closed doors, there's somebody who knows me that is higher than her level, who can also speak for me, and then she can bow to superior decision. That's a strategy. So I identify someone, build relationship with her, volunteer. Sometimes I'll just go to her office and check in on the executive partner that I was intentionally building that relationship with. And that takes me to my next point, which is deposit emotional investment in your sponsors. We are emotional beings. We use our emotional sense to make decisions. Even though we say, it's logical, is this, is that, there's still an emotional element. When you talked about the need to take someone out, that list of restructuring, I've sat in meetings where we needed to restructure. We know the guys who should go, but because somebody has emotional connection to someone that has done something better, the person who is lower in performance was picked. Yes. Just because, oh, this person had a quarrel with me, sometimes I didn't like that person, the way the person responded to mails. Those of you that like to send mails with your emotions in it, I'm going to give it to this person. How can she talk to me like that? How can she send me mail with all those things? Continue. They all count. Because your email can go to anywhere. I'll share a very recent example. So we recently had our board of directors from New York in Nigeria for board meetings. And there was a particular GM that was asked to come and meet the board member. So he went into meeting with the board member, and on his way down from the 5th floor, he called me, Lara, are you in the office? Are you in the office? He said, yes. So he came and said, Lara, guess what? I said, what? The email exchange I had with one of the logistics manager, the banter we had, got to the board member. Yes. Like he was in shock. So your emails, guys, just be deliberate about your emails. Yes, it's okay to feel those emotions, but don't let it be seen in your emails. Because that email can get to anybody. One email got to a board member. You know, at the same time, I was in a conversation with one of my MDs, and he was reading the email trail of a mail that has been forwarded to him, and he was quite impressed with an HRBP's response. So the same email actually gave somebody accolade when it got forwarded to someone else. So just ensure that whatever tracks you're living in the sands of time positions you in the right light. Because from there, somebody can pick and identify you. So your emotional deposit, you have to be intentional about it. Be very supportive. Be visible. Volunteer, even outside your department. I'm in HR, but trust me, I built relationship with my CFO. He knows me well. I built relationship with my sales director. They know me well. I built relationship with my supply chain director. He knows me well. Those are places that you have to strategically position yourself as you navigate through the office politics. It is real. I've been a victim of it, and I've also benefited from it. But my story is very similar to his story, so I won't repeat it. But sponsorship is important. Be intentional about it. Identify people that can speak for you, that are above the level of your line manager or your heads of department. Build positive relationship. One area that a lot of we women struggle with is networking outside office hours. Some companies offer club membership. We women, we don't use our own. Because after work, we are running home to make soup and get the family ready. So it's a challenge. But despite that, let's be intentional. I've also had to join some off-office hours event to network, but I have my cutoff cap. Once it's 8:39 max, I'm leaving home. And that day I would have made alternate arrangements that I've discussed to my husband. Please come home earlier because I'll be a bit later in coming home. So find a way around it. Don't be totally off the track. When it's after office events, you are not there to be found. When it's office events, you just sit down in one place. Be visible and emotionally deposit in the lives of people that you know can speak for you, and intentionally build relationship with sponsors. But we do need sponsors. For you to get to the next level in your career, sponsorship is important, especially someone that can also help play the politics gimmicks for you behind closed doors. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
That was good.
So I shared 2 quick stories. When I was in OLC, there was a bid by multinational for consultants to do training, so the field managers needed to move to the office. And you know, engineers, they're good relating with pipes, they're not good relating with human beings. So they wanted, we had gone to the office of Banana Island then, we went to Page and all of that. Then one day, somebody called me and said, TJ, I said, yes, I need you to attend one of the people that we're going to decide who will give us the project. the daughter was getting married in Port Harcourt.
Yeah,
So they wired me money for tickets. I got into the plane. I got to Port Harcourt. He gave me an envelope for him. As I saw him, I said, "Oh, Larry's boy, how are you?" I hugged him, we took pictures. He said, "Do you have a car today in the reception?" I said, "No, I'll be fine." No, let me get someone to. He made sure he got me into a car. As that car drove out, I came down. I took a cab back to the airport. I headed back to Lagos. But I took the picture, was there. Yeah. Guess what? The Thursday of the wedding, they sent us an email that we got the cake. Yes, no. So some of you will say, "I'm too busy, I don't attend parties. I cannot go to Jabu for burial." Sit down there. You see, in Yoruba, they say if you want to step a wet ground, you pour water in front. It happens in the corporate place. Secondly, after I left OLCA, I always make sure that every December I send an amber to Mr. Larry. 3 years after I left OLCA, there was a job with, I'm not sure that was PwC, it was one of the first four. I just told him, "Today, I'm going to be in Ghana and I need you to do this job, blah, 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 blah." Okay, I will adjust my schedule, I will do it. And I always like back-end stories. So I reached out to a friend who was still working in the system. And I'm like, "Why did they consider me?" He said, "Because Mr. Larry said, Umowowe." Some of you want favors where you have not, invested. Yes, emotional investment. The door will be permanently locked and it's not the devil. All right? Thank you. I hope the stories blessed you.
Please, can we celebrate our guests for today? Thank you so much. Okay, so if you have questions, it's time for you to just put down your questions. I don't think there will be time for us to do asking questions, so just put down your questions and pass it across to me. Okay. I have a couple of questions here that I would like to ask before we take the ones.
Try and help us marry them so that two can come as one, and so we can be out of here.
All right, sir. All right, so what does it mean to be employable in this time and season? I would like Mrs. Lara to answer this question, because I know you must have come across maybe CVs, or you must have interviewed people, and you look at them and you're like, this person is not employable. So when you say someone is not employable, what does it mean, and what does it mean to be employable?
Okay, great question. I'll respond very quickly. I have two responses to that. The first response is, the logic definition is you have employability skills. That's the logic response. But the main response I would like to give is someone who is aware of themselves, who knows the skills, the talent they have, and the value they can offer with solutions they can provide. What do I mean? I was coaching a young lady a couple of weeks back. She's been out of a job for a while. She just recently finished her NYC and she's awaiting getting a job. And I asked her, "Tell me about yourself." When we go for interviews, they ask us, "Tell me about yourself," right? "Tell me about yourself." And then she went, "My name is so, I'm from so village, my town, my local government, I'm the second born in a family." No, why are you all saying? But that's what you people say now. Come on. No, why are we? What? Isn't that what people say, Shala?
Majority of them.
Yes, majority. People. Yes. Thank you. Yes. Oh, I work under pressure. I'm a team player, right? Yes. Okay. When she finished, I looked at her. I said, "Who are you?" She was taken aback. I said, "Who are you? Who are you?" She was taken aback. Apart from her name, her course of study, the 2-1, that's all. She couldn't even tell me about herself. Do you know what I did? I deployed a personality test assessment for her. She took it, then came back for my coaching session, and I asked her, "Who are you?" I was blown away. I was blown away at her response. Do you know why? Self-awareness, knowledge of her strengths, and how she can bring her strengths to the workplace. this, because she doesn't have experience. Because a lot of concern is, I have never worked before. So because I've never worked before and companies are looking for years of experience, how do I sell or position myself? And I said, it's not about what you've done or what you've not done, but who are you, what do you have, and what value can you bring? And she discovered her skills around organization, around relationship building, and she was able to articulate that to solve a business need or solve an organizational need. When she listened to herself, she felt a lot prouder than the initial response she's given. So employability skill, in my own definition, is first awareness of who you are, the skills and the strengths and the talent that you are, and the ability to articulate it to the requirements of the job market or the marketplace and what solution you can provide. If your skill is you're very creative, how do you bring creativity to the workplace? If your skill is you've got good analytical skills or good research skills, how do you bring it to the workplace? So your ability to first be aware of your God-given gifts and talent and be able to articulate it to the needs of the organization, for me that's employability skills. It gets to a level where you are expected to have built experience, and that adds up to the layer of the functional skills, the competencies, your proficiency level, and how you're able to package and articulate that to deliver value to organization. I don't know if I responded to.
Thank you very much, ma'am. On that question, so someone is asking that you spoke about what you just explained is when the person is already in an interview, but some people don't get to make it past the CV. So how do you present yourself in your CV in such a way that when someone looks at your CV, they want to call you for an interview?
I have another story to share. So I have the young mentee who has been out of a job for a while, for about 2 years. He's got 1.5 years experience as an admin officer somewhere. So somebody called me and said, "Oh, Coach Lara, I'm looking for a very young HR person or somebody who's on admin with 0 to 3 years experience." Immediately it came to my mind. So I sent him a message, "Send me your CV," and so I can forward it. By the time the guy sent me his CV, somebody he's just done 1.5 or 1.6 months years of experience in admin in an organization as an admin officer. I opened the CV and I saw a strategic expert. Strategic experts in organization. How's the corner? Send me your CV. Say, man, that's my huge CV. 1.6 or almost 0 years of experience. You're a strategic expert. What's wrong with you? I'm like, can you send me? Please go and rework that CV. So what am I saying? A lot of time our CVs don't genuinely reflect who we are. So you say, "Hey, but ma, people are looking for experience, but you don't have the experience. Just state it there. And be very clear, be articulate." Then we have CVs, there's no career objective. So we just put our name, years of experience, the course of study, local government, number of wives, number of children. And we see all sorts of religion, state of origin, local government, and all those. So your CV should articulately represent you. If you don't have years of experience, please put your strengths. Your strengths. If you don't have the industry experience, put your aspiration, your career objective, and then the font sizes. The way you present your CV also goes a long way. Nowadays, people are fond of sending link to recruiters. Please click on this link to access. I'm like, hey, I should click on this link. Okay, you're waiting for me. So let's be mindful. Then we reach out to people via LinkedIn DMs, and then we send our CVs. I get that a lot, and I'm like, excuse me, build relationship first. When you come to people's DM on LinkedIn, say something nice about them. Let them know a bit about you and how you can be of help and support, right? So CV, there's a whole process to sending the right CV. Some of us have missed opportunities because our CVs haven't articulately represented how we are. We've had to pad and fashion and makeup and add extra layers to our CVs. So that might be a problem. Then 2, ensuring that your CV articulately captures your years of experience, your skills, your talents, your aspiration, the industry, that you've worked in, the things you've done that actually outside of the formal engagement. What do I mean? You volunteered in a church, yes. You volunteered in a church. Please put it. Just articulate the core skills. You volunteered in other associations or groups or projects. Put it. You know, and then if you're taking courses, just put the courses there in view. If you're taking certifications, put it there. Let your CV really represent the fact that you are somewhere, but of course, you're on your way somewhere greater. And I think that would really help.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Please, can we celebrate Mrs. Lara? That was awesome. Okay, sir, Mr. Shola, this question is for you. How can one adapt to the ever-evolving changes happening, especially with the advancement of technology? So while you were giving your presentation today, you talked about, trying to network on different social media platforms and how it can be overwhelming at times, but we have to find a way to manage it. So how do we adapt, especially with this advancement in technology? Even relating to your field as a person, there are new technologies coming up that you have to be abreast with. So how do you adapt?
Okay, very quickly, thank you. Talking about adaptation, everything still starts from yourself, knowing who you are, because you can't be everywhere. You can't be everywhere. So you need to first decide on, what you want out of life or what you want out of that profession that you find yourself, and be able to identify. I think we've discussed it, but I'm just going to be reiterating what we have discussed already, which again, for you to adapt, you have to develop, some sense of awareness. You have to be aware of the requirement of the job that you are doing right now and the requirement, the future requirement of that job. For instance, I was the head of the academy for a number of years. Each year that we plan trainings for people, for the current job they are running, and we also prepare them for the future jobs within the organization. So if you want to adapt as an individual, you need to be aware of the trends, all right, within that space where you're operating. And you need to always begin to look for how to prepare yourself to align perfectly with what is going on or the emerging trends in that space. One of the ways we can, adapt is to always go for relevant certifications, attend relevant conferences, network and network and network. You cannot, it got to a point in my career, I realized that I was yearning to be able to have somebody that can add to me. Because anytime you find out that you become a local champion, something is wrong. All right? You are the only person everybody is, you are the boss. No, the boss must have a boss. Do you understand? For you to adapt very well, look for people that know more than you, all right, and ensure that you engage them to be able to draw from them. If there's something I wanted to add to what you said earlier on about the interview, preparing yourself to be employable. One thing I also know that I've found out is that people always send their CVs, it's one cap fits all. All right? One cap fits everything. Yeah. So you must always find a way to know about the job, the requirement of the job, and check your CV yourself. If I'm the recruiter, will I consider this CV? If there is something missing and you know that you have that thing, you have to include it and to ensure that it aligns. Why I brought that up is because it's still about adaptability. All right, you have to learn to adapt to different, changes or situations that you find yourself. And the best way is to be aware of your strength, be aware of where you are going, and know people that can help you to get there.
Thank you very much, sir.
Just to add to that, you must have the mindset. Okay, you must also have the mindset to learn, unlearn, and relearn. Like you mentioned something about have someone who is more knowledgeable than you that you can learn from, and this is not a function of age. It's not. I have mentees that I'm learning from that are younger.
We call it reverse mentoring, actually.
Yes, it's called reverse mentoring. Then I have children that I'm learning from. About 3 years ago, I'm very I'm very creative, so I use PowerPoint a lot, right, for my animations and everything. And I got to a point where my daughter did a PowerPoint presentation. I mean, I've worked in a multinational consulting company for years. I saw that presentation, I was like, what? Who taught you? Mommy, I use Powtoons. Yeah, I will not get Powtoons. Animations. That inspired me. Today, I can do animations. Wow. Yes, I can do animations because I got inspired that if my level of learning is still at PowerPoint, then the next level is animations. When I was in my former organization, I had to use the animation skills to run an internal engagement ad for my company. You need to see the feedback. Because we realize that when HR sends communication, some people have folder for HR email. You know yourselves. See them. You know yourself. When HR sends email, just that folder, HR do today, and we started bringing creativity into our communication with my former organization, and the engagement grew because I learned a creative skill. I brought it to the workplace, and that helped us in driving that communication with my colleagues at work. So learn skills that would stand you out, going back to that unique selling point. And that way it starts with having the mindset to be adaptable, be willing to learn from anyone as long as they give you value. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Please just hold the mic. I'm coming back to you, sir, but I want to just ask something. Oh wow. Okay. Oh wow. Okay.
No, I am up to the task.
All right, can we celebrate Mr. Shola as he takes his leave? Thank you very much, sir.
All right, see you guys. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Let's keep celebrating him till he leaves, please.
Pray for me.
All right, ma. Okay, so a quick one. Back to the CV question. Someone is asking, is it okay to put, like, under reference, you put based on request?
It's okay. It is. It is.
Okay. Coach TJ. Okay, he'll be back shortly. All right, ma'am. From an HR point of view, is it okay to leave an organization in less than 1 year? Is that a red flag or a green flag? I'm going to merge these two questions together. The other one says, how advisable is it to move from one industry to another too frequently? Does it make or mar career acceleration?
Okay, so my response to the first question on leaving less than 1 year, it depends. So it depends, as long as it's not too frequent. I mean, things happen, life reality happens, and if you have to leave, especially for your well-being, please leave. Regardless of, that's one part of regardless of feeling that you don't want it to deter your career. If you have to leave less than 1 year, please leave. My response to the second question on people who have had to change jobs too frequently, I would respond from my personal experience in interviewing candidates. I've discovered that when I interview candidates who have had to move too frequently, their level of skills and knowledge is not deep enough. I mean, I've seen that severally, where you find CVs of candidates who you think have diverse experiences, but they've stayed short. They usually don't come across as people who have deepened their skill. Something that you interview some people and they are just talking on the surface. You're not hearing the core of the skill. So most times it doesn't give good representation of your person, and this is because behaviors are pattern. People predict who you are from your past behaviors. So that gives a red flag. and most companies typically would not. However, the flip side to it is we are also aware of the current realities that we are in, that 2 years is a new 10 years. And that's the honest truth. Are we going to have employees stay in organization for 10 years? That's the honest truth. It doesn't seem so anymore. So we are also mindful of that. And that is why the world is focusing on skills. How deep are your skills and what can you do? And in all contexts, it's not all about you've done 2 years here, you've done 2 years here, but is based on the depth of your skills. So it's a two-way approach. Sometimes it might not work for you, but sometimes it honestly doesn't even stop. As long as you're able to deliver value on the job that you take or the skill you have to offer. So that would be my response.
All right, I'm still on this question. So we have a case of someone who is just 2 weeks on a job, but has 2 other offers, which is double of his current salary. So what would you advise such a person?
2 weeks. So obviously, before you picked up this offer, you've been interviewing in other places.
Exactly.
And then you picked one and still waiting for the others. And 2 weeks into the new job, the other offer came
in.
Higher pay, yes.
Double.
Higher pay. Yeah. So for me, I think number one, the first question I would like to ask that person is, did you mention to the interviewer then or the employer now that you were also interviewing? That's one. If you did, then reopen the conversation. Are they willing to benchmark, to match up? If they're willing to match up, do you want to take it? Second is it a brand? Because sometimes beyond just the pay, you need to also look at the brand.
Yeah.
The brand of the organization on your CV. When I joined Accenture, I had to take a pay cut after I had worked at DHL to pick up the job with Accenture, because I know that that's one brand for life. Would help my career, which it did anyway. So you need to look at the brand of the organization. So first is ask if you had initially informed them to let them know this is on the table. Are they willing to match it so you can stay? Number 2 is the brand of the organization. Number 3 is the industry. So if it's just like if it's tech, or if it's an industry that is blooming and you really would love to go there, then you need, so a couple of things you have to consider. Number 4, if you have a mentor, share with your mentor, right? And number 5, if it's really, really good, yes, you can resign, although it's going to be a regrettable loss for that company that has invested. But so talking from an HR point of view, I would not be happy. I'll not be happy. It might be a regrettable loss. But if there's a way you can just build that relationship and have that conversation with them, so there are a couple of options available for that person. You might not have to drop your resignation. If they want to match it, feel free. Let them match it, then stay. Otherwise, if it doesn't align with, if the other offer looks a lot richer for you, then you might have to take your decision at that point.
Thank you very much, Ma. Thank you. So do you have something to add to that? Okay. All right, so this next question is for you. What advice will you give a person or an individual who loves the office environment? She loves to be a career person, but discovers that a job or a salary cannot make you rich, and he or she is thinking of starting a business. Like, this person enjoys to be a career, like you want to be a career person, but you feel that salary cannot make you rich, so she wants to start a business.
Is the question for me?
Yes, sir.
All right. So I always say to people that want to do business that you need to first work secular to gain experience before you start a business of your own. People who never worked anywhere, when they start business, I see how they mess things up. There's no bookkeeping, there's nothing, no. So no matter how passionate you are about your business, it's good to either intern with someone who is doing what you want to do, or work with that person for a while. You know, working in OLCA helped me to learn the business side of coaching and consulting. Helped me see how you can build networks, how you can schedule appointments, how you can, do one or more man of things. So I'm very big on internship, very big, and I have had to, do projects for free because I wanted access and because I wanted knowledge. Just like what you said, I remember in 2016, that was my 40th birthday, my mentor, Mr. Lanre, had offered me to work with one of the Verse 4. I had another training that day with a lower brand that was going to pay me better. So he said to me, TJ, take this job. There are jobs you take for bragging's sake, not for the income. And that year, I put a multinational as part of the organization that I have trained. They paid me less, but it gave me my brand values. When I'm putting my profile, is the first name I put there, because I can't tell you I've done training for KPMG. You now say you will not take me, So you've got to be able to look at exactly how to make things work in a structured organization. You can now tweak what you find there to do your business, but it can be a disaster if you start on your own without learning.
Okay, the person who asked this question wants to shed more light on the question. So please permit me for.
Considering the fact that you've worked in an organization and at the end of the day, they were downsizing and you are one of the people they asked to go. And also considering the fact that age, when you want to work in an environment, they will ask, how old are you? It depends on the age. So, and time is going, right? And you also want to lay a legacy for your children, not just for you alone. So what do you advise? And you love the office environment, you are a career person, and you also want to build a legacy for your children, not just your children alone. So what do you advise?
So Lara, you know about benefits and emoluments.
So the first question I will ask is, what's the product of the business? What's the product?
No,
because you're talking about product or service. What's the business going to be about? Product.
Yes.
What's the product? You can't share. Okay, just give me. What industry with the product with catering? Okay, fantastic. Thank you so much for that. The reason why I asked is, if you're going to build a business, every business has to start from somewhere, right? And there's a time and season for everything. Listening to you mention someone has been through a paid job but was affected because there was restructuring in the organization, and then age is not on the side. I'm a firm believer that age is not a barrier to career growth. Honestly speaking. I've seen people who retire and then pick up other jobs. So age is not a barrier. First, for me, my response to that question is the mindset has to be open. Don't cap your mindset and say, oh, because of this can't happen. Anything can happen. So one, right mindset. Two, for all you know, if you get a job and you start the job, your first customer can be your colleagues. My former boss started her fashion business as head of HR. Her clients, we were her clients. And before we knew it, she had her own shop and everything. So the first customer can be in that organization. Based on that, I don't think you should limit. You can do both based on whatever career plan that you have. I am a career person, and yet I love business. So I focus on my career, and I have other ways of doing my business and making my money, multiple streams of income. Because the people in the organization, at the end of the day, can support that business. And you're learning skills, you're learning structure, and whatever you learn from that career will invariably impact your business. You can start both if you're able to juggle both, until when you have to give up one for the other. So it depends on the season and the phase that you're in. You can also start the business at the same time, take part-time internship if possible with any organization, because I could hear from the voice that you really love that corporate setting, you know, but you still do need it for you to follow the growth of your business at the end of the day. So take it easy, one step at a time. I would say keep your options open. Whichever comes first, take it while you are still building the business. And when you're ready to focus on the business 100%, you realize that the skill that you gain from that corporate organization will just stand out your business, you know, based on the way you structure and position it. So, but just take it easy, take life as it comes, be intentional about what you want to do, and then take the best of both worlds as they come. For me, I wouldn't say stop one for another, because ultimately God knows the best for every one of us.
Thank you very much, Ma. Thank you. Can we just put our hands together for our panelists and just celebrate them? Thank you. Okay, so this is where we will draw the curtain for today. Our time has been fast spent. If I didn't take your question, or if we didn't take your question, so sorry. Apologies. We'll post it on the group and it will be attended to. So thank you. Once again, can we celebrate our panelists? Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir.
Wow, what a day. I know we started at 1 p.m. exactly. We promised we were going to finish at 4, but it's for our benefit, yeah? I'm sure it was a great time. It was a great time, yeah? So what are some of the meeting highlights? Anyone in two meeting highlights for you today? The puzzle. Oh, that was my idea. You know, in brand visibility, you also have to be vocal about your wins. You know, I often sometimes don't talk about it enough. I do the work and someone else do the talk. But now, I blow my trumpet even more than Angel Michael. Who did the job? Darasimi, sir. Who handled the meeting? Darasimi, ma. Who did that procurement? Chief Darasimi. It's me. I'm the one. Okay, can we celebrate our speakers once again? Once again. Like Mr. Oyegbade said in one of his meetings, in one of the slides, one thing that really resonates with me is take action. It would be unfair to have people like Miss Lara Yeku, Mr. Shola, and Coach Tunji come and speak to us in this Bootcamp 2.0, and then we go back and not do anything about it. Let's ensure that our careers, our lives take a positive turn for the better from the decisions that we'll take from here today that will propel us to a greater level of achievement and purpose living in the name of Jesus. Amen. So before you go, please ensure to network with someone. Miss Lara Yeku still has her books. I'm sure some of us have started buying. It still goes for 2,500. Please take your time to buy one and read through the stories in it. So this program and event was put together by the Triumphant professional arm of Triumphant Nation, Lagos City Church. Can we celebrate? Can we celebrate? If you are not a member of Triumphant Nation's Lagos City Church and you are invited, can you please be on your feet? We want to celebrate you, especially if you are not a member of Triumphant Nation, you were invited, you honored an invitation. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you. We celebrate you. We see you. We thank you. We love you. Thank you so very much. Thank you. Please take your seat. Thank you so much. All right. In the spirit of this meeting, like I said, network with someone, reach out to someone. Triumphant Nation is the place that God dwells. And this is the arm of the church that brings about positivity, that brings about learning, where we share practical tips and practical truths about our careers, about our profession, and how we can grow individually and benefit and impact our